Right, Street Talk for another week. Britain's Got Talent Week is behind us. We're back to the usual kind of flow of things on Coronation Street. Back to the grind, 3 hours a week. Ugh. But I think I'm going to say it's not too bad a week in Coronation Street this week. You know, there's always the worry that the high of Britain's Got Talent Week isn't going to be followed up with, but it was nice to see a bit more Joel loitering this week with a bit of ominous music in the background as well, just to make sure that we definitely knew. But that is not my major story this week. I'm going to start off with the Institute storyline. Well, Simon leaving and Institute, because just today's episode, I've been enjoying it loads, but today's episode just really pipped it up there for me, and we were both on the edge of our seats for today's episode, weren't we?
Would you like my own laboriously constructed pun?
Yes.
Story.
Have you got one?
I've just made it up.
Go on then.
And it's about as good as your usual.
Brilliant, I'm all ears.
Okay. That episode today
yeah.
with AI Ollie
yes.
was a bit like an episode of Black Mirror.
Okay.
But the CGI was not as good.
Yeah.
So it's Lack Mirror.
Lack Mirror. Okay, very good. Well done. Well.
Now you know how it feels.
Well, do you want to hear you already know this one, but my laboriously constructed pun of a storyline tied to Simon leaving is Saigon.
Yes,
I can't call it Miss Saigon because nobody misses him. I think they've forgotten he's gone already.
I sort of forgot that he left this week.
So it's going to be that combined with the Leanne Institute story, and my gosh, there were some fantastic performances in tonight's episode. After that, we have got the a brief engagement storyline. I'm just going to use this brief for as long as we can while Joel and Dee-Dee are together. I had like a ton of storyline titles for this. They were all just terrible things like Leering Deering, because he was doing a bit of leering this week, wasn't he?
And all of his girls.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Brief encounters.
They were all brief encounters, you're very right. Also, I had Mama Deering.
No.
Because we had Mama Deering.
Sounds like mammogram.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
You got a dirty mind. Maybe that's...
I think that revealed a bit too much about you.
No, just boobs. This isn't a podcast of boobs. This is a serious podcast. I had other terrible storyline titles.
Are quite serious.
Fine.
Right.
Then we've got these are really terrible storyline titles, aren't they? We've got the ABI story, which is Abby's. They're really into AI at the moment, aren't they? In Coronation Street, it's just like they discovered it. Nobody knows about ChatGPT apart from maybe Bethany.
No, listen. Platt. I think Bethany does, and that's what she's built her journalism career on. Because as we know from today's episode, Daisy is a better investigative journalist than Bethany is. Couldn't even think of how to work out how to prove that she didn't use a credit card.
I know, she's terrible.
She's awful. The whole story about that credit card makes no sense. Why would her company not cancel her credit card? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, we've already said that I struggle to buy Bethany as being this top writer. We've said this for years now, but maybe ChatGPT is, maybe she discovered it before anybody else.
Well, that's how come she's writing articles about air fryers.
Yeah. But anyway, so we've got the Abby storyline.
I can't wait for that to come out.
We have got the ill will story, and there was an awful lot of ill will between George and Glenda, but maybe not so much Michael and Glenda at the end of today's episode. And then Roy has been getting rid of Sam. He don't want to play his game. I call this story like... Don't yawn before I've given you even the storyline title. That's just rude. Cut to the chess. Yeah, maybe, kind of.
Is that what your mammogram service is going to be called? Yeah. Cut to the chest.
Not the chest, the chess. Or Roy-jection, or one of those two.
Roy-jection.
All terrible. Can ChatGPT make storyline titles? I've been doing this for 10 years now. I think I've lost the knack. But never mind.
Let's quit.
No, don't threaten that. You'll scare our listeners.
Not as scary as Ollie.
Not as scary as AA Ollie. That was like that was the most terrifying thing on Coronation Street since the Black Bull Butcher, I'm telling you.
The whole thing was a mixture of absolute abject horror and tragedy with I don't know how I can cope with how silly this looks.
Yeah, but look, let's talk about that when we get onto it, because it is going to be our first story.
It was terrifying and depressing.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
It was. Let's get onto it. Do you want to do this story, or do you want to do your old man Joel Who'd you rather synopsise today?
I'll let you do this.
Okay.
You've got to let me interject without complaining.
Yeah, you can do.
Normally you don't.
No, it's fine.
I've got my tea now, so I'll have
Right, so Simon's leaving episode was Monday. Oh gosh, he's
forgot
gone.
about him again.
Literally, in the last 3 minutes, you've forgotten that we have got to talk about Simon before we get
Can
to
we
the
just say
Institute.
Simon went?
No, come on. Let's give this guy a bit of credit. We said this is an end of an era when we were talking about it earlier this week, and honestly, it is. We will do another character profile of him. Look out for
Simon
that one coming
has
soon.
been higher in my regard in his time.
Yeah.
So, all credit to him.
He's off to sea on Monday to go and see his old dad, and Carla gives him an envelope full of cash, which is awesome.
Don't spend it on booze, lad.
Don't spend it on blocking pornographic videos from appearing on the internet. There's not £5,000 in here.
Bloody hell.
Daniel says to Carla, look, you're always going to be family. Come and have a drink with me and Bobby later. By the way, that part of the story with Bobby
that was silly.
and Carla being sent to Coventry by Carla, I have kind of mingled it in this story as well.
I thought you were just commenting about how stupid it was.
No, I originally had it with the notes for this story, then I took it out because it looked like it was being a separate story, and now I've kind of shoved it back in again. I kind of cat-handedly put it at the end of every episode, but it wasn't that interesting, was it? So I hope you don't mind.
I'd kick her out just for changing her name from Carla Barlow.
You gotta let it drop.
I can't.
So Simon's with Nick and Toya. He has a little scene together. They're worried because Leanne still hasn't been in touch. She's been on this no contact retreat and she hasn't contacted them, so they're like saying, don't worry, I'm sure she'll be able to come back, but they are clearly a little bit worried. She's due back. I think it wasn't she was due back the previous night.
She hadn't come back yet.
Yeah, exactly. So we basically just get a whole Barlow gathering, don't we, on Monday. Ken gets to say goodbye, brings him a box of tea and some English mustard. Oh, the mustard was for Peter, wasn't it? Good old Ken. Then Leanne comes in and she's like, sorry I'm late, it's brilliant stuff. She's all kind of calm and relaxed until Simon drops the bombshell about bogging off to Bilbao. I was really looking forward to Leanne coming back a robot. Didn't happen,
no.
But it was only 2 weeks.
She came back with a robot.
Who's that?
Ollie.
Oh yeah, robot Ollie. Maybe it would have been pushing it a bit too far to have had her come back like this, and I have had a wonderful time on my retreat.
She couldn't. It wouldn't have lasted anyway.
I don't think it would. I mean, it puts me in mind of maybe like Shona when she got to come out of her coma and she had to just play a different version of herself for a while. And I don't doubt that Jane could have done it.
But I don't care because I like how the week ended.
Oh yeah,
couldn't
absolutely.
have done that with robot.
No, quite. So
anyway, instantly Leanne's like, I can't believe you didn't contact me on my no contact retreat to let me know about this.
I know she's full of calmness and serenity for all of 30 seconds, isn't she? Until she's like, oh my god,
why don't you tell me?
Why? What's the hurry? Why are you going now? And Nick says, like, I tried to get a hold of you. I told Rowan to pass a message on, and Leanne's like, well, clearly he forgot. Still completely under his spell. Then she hears that Toya thinks it's a good idea for Simon to go and latches onto that. It's like, oh, that Toya, she's always against me. So are you, Nick. Strops off and like, okay. So, yeah, you learned nothing about peace of mind.
Well, maybe she wasn't trying to learn about peace of mind.
What was she? Well, of course she was.
Why?
Well, she needs a bit of calm, doesn't she?
So just because you need something doesn't mean you get it on a retreat.
I don't know. So anyway, Leanne has a go at Nick and Toya in the bistro later and says, Toya, you had no right to interfere in this. And Toya says, look, Simon started drinking. We found him passed out on the park bench, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
This briefly, ever so slightly, stops Leanne in her tracks. She thinks, oh, okay. And then she's like, well, just because you don't like the Institute, you're taking it out on me. Nick says, Toya has been through so much recently and you weren't here for her. Leanne huffs off again. There was I can't remember exactly what it was, but somebody posted on Twitter about how many shoes has she got through, how many heels has she got through from huffing off at the end of each scene. And Jane replied to that as well. She's very much in on it.
That was on Instagram.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she knows, and she plays her so well.
Exactly. You can't be Leanne Cowbag and not be aware.
No, like some character. I am in no way annoyed when Leanne gets like this. I'm all up for it. I'm in on
Leanne,
it. It's her thing.
Yes.
It's a bit like, I suppose, Anna Windass. when she was slightly.
Yes.
Just an utter nag. I've got an awful lot of affection for the character, and I think if she were to change and just be all sweetness and light, something would be missing.
I think there's room for all different kinds of people on Corrie, and we said before about every bloke's just like a guy next door kind of fun lad, and they're all very interchangeable, most of them. Like the women are a bit more individual, and Leanne, there's no one else like her really. And that's one of the things I really liked about her during the Ollie storyline is that she didn't change at all. She wasn't likeable. She didn't bend to anybody else's. She didn't try to soften it for anybody. She was unapologetic about what it was that she was feeling and what she wanted out of people. And that's what I like. I don't like the character, but you're not supposed to like the character. But there's room for her on Coronation Street, and she's making this story very interesting. The
thing with Leanne, one of the things, is I think there are times when she is likeable, and that's probably one of the things that stops me from just being like, I can't be bothered with Leanne anymore. I give up on her. She has these moments where is so supportive of Toya, like the scene where they went to the rose bush together a couple of months ago. Almost there was a scene in today's episode where she was concerned about the fact that Toya had been arrested. It's those moments where she's not just going off in a huff that keep her on my side really. Keep me on her side, sorry.
The thing about her too is that she's vulnerable and she has weak points.
Yeah. I mean, the episode ends, sorry, just to skip to a little till the end of it, with her sitting alone in the flat watching this laptop. Yeah. But there was a couple of scenes like that. Absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah. Just kind of I can't remember whether she had the tear going down her cheek, but she was saying, "Oh, I love you. All I want at the moment is to give you a hug." And she played that brilliantly, and it's because of that kind of talent and her performance that kind of half had me going, "Oh, I do see where you're coming from." She can elicit a lot of empathy. Mm-hmm. Just in the skill of her performance. So hats off to her. I think Leanne is a very complex and multifaceted character.
Yeah, that's why she's very fascinating.
Yeah.
And Jane Danson is excellent.
Mm. Yeah, for sure.
And I think obviously there's a lot of respect there. I think she must respect Leanne.
I do.
She had to do her so much justice.
Yeah, I mean, this is a character that she's been playing for the best part of nearly 30 years now, 25 plus years. So you're gonna.
Well,
She clearly feels.
I don't want to say.
I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she wants to do a good job for this character that has been such a huge part of her life. I do wonder sometimes, like, how much of a toll does it take on you to play a character that is so consistently cowbaggy, Like, it's not like, you're not being a villain. Like, it's going to be fun to play the scheming, Rowan.
It must be really annoying to, like, have colleagues where they're like, oh yeah, I play a character that everybody loves and thinks is sun shines out of her arse. Yeah. And you're like, oh, well, my character's just shocked her sister to the cops or whatever. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, or just having to say, "Oh, I just had a really chill day today. Some great funny scenes."
Yeah, and she's like, "I was crying again,
and nagging again. And clocking."
Yeah. I'm glad you had a good day though.
I mean, that's what soap is, isn't it? Like you said, there's a space for all types of character, and
I like Leanne. She's a prickly customer.
She is. She's come a long way in the Conversation Street journey, hasn't she? She's always been, she's always been a character that we've had strong opinions about, and I've got an awful lot of respect for her. Anyway, so we had Simon's final scenes in the bistro. You loved the line about "enjoy the drizzle, losers," didn't you?
Wish that was his last line, but it wasn't.
Yeah, you said that in the tweet. That would have been a great final. I don't know what his last line was.
It was something like "bye, mum" or something like that.
Oh, here's my taxi. I don't know, but everyone gets to say goodbye to him. Everyone's there in the bistro apart from Daniel, who's caught up at work apparently because he's got his job back at the prison again. He gets a big hug from Leanne again. There's moments like this. Oh, so sweet. She's like, I don't want to let you go.
Leanne's the sort of person who in real life you would want to be her best friend and no one else. Like, because if she doesn't like you, she would just freeze you out. You might as well just die.
Yeah, she's in that way. She's kind of a good fit for the Institute, isn't she?
Yeah,
like if somebody says something against you, she's going to sue your ass.
She's like the Terminator of religious cults.
But then again, they're not religious, are they? Not religious. I'm still, ever since this cult storylines was announced, I'm like, oh, it's a religious cult story, but it's not. Although this thing with the AI Ollie is almost, I don't know whether, if you get up to the next, the high level in the Institute, if there's such a thing, if you climb the next rung of the ladder, is there some kind of, these AI versions of the babies are communicating with the other side?
Oh no, oh my god, yeah.
Maybe.
That's what I've heard a very famous cult does.
I've heard that as well.
The more you pay in, the higher you climb, the more weird stuff they tell you, the deeper you are, the more you got to just go, cool. Yeah. So sounds legit.
I think that the AI Ollie thing was probably the closest they've had so far to a supernatural life after death kind of thing.
No, we haven't got there yet.
We haven't got there yet, but that's the closest there's been. I mean, with the Etheric Foundation back in the 90s, even then it wasn't. I suppose Zoe was she was caught up with them by the thought that she'd be with Shannon again. I
know. So it's not. So she was lured in by a dead child.
Yeah. So it's similar, but I guess.
But it's the same thing.
But I'm glad that they are doing it differently this time.
Well, I mean, it's all it is this is how they get you through exploiting vulnerable, weak spots in, and almost everybody is going to have something in their life experience where you've got something that they can exploit. It's not like a particular weakness of any one person.
Some people have just got more cases in their cabin than others.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, both the Etheric Foundation and the what's it called? Altovalen Institute also had very charming leaders. I mean, Rowan does beat. I can't remember because I just know he's Burn Gorman, the actor. I can't remember what the character was. He beats him in the charm stakes, hands down. But they were both very convincing.
He was more creepy, though.
He was, yeah.
But we have yet to meet Willow, and we are both very excited about Willow.
If they don't, I've given up on them paying any kind of reference to that past cult storyline. But now they've hooked me in with Willow, I need to see her.
I'm so excited.
What was it that Toya said today? I think I wrote it down when she comes in and she's like, I've just been talking to your
exalted leader.
Your great exalted leader.
She's like, no, that's Willow.
Yeah, she just kind of says it as a throwaway, doesn't she? Willow's the leader.
Is Leanne third in command at the moment? Because she seems like Ren's always on the phone to her.
He has always got time for her.
Unfortunately, the person who I think would be an excellent Willow has already been employed by a rival soap. So I don't think that she's got time to take a little break to come over to Corrie.
Who?
Harriet Thorpe. Can you imagine her as a batty cult leader?
Yeah. But I mean, to be honest, I would say that Heather Lederer might also be quite good.
Yeah, why not bring her back?
Is Elspeth, what's that?
Elspeth.
Yeah, is she actually Willow? No, but I really would like to see.
Please tell me
Rowan's
that
boss. Please, come on.
I've got somebody fabulous in the wings.
One of the things that I was thinking about this story that
Judi Dench.
She's given up on actor now, hasn't she?
Oh yeah, she has. Well, it's because she can't. She memorises the scripts and she can't read them anymore. But they could just go, we're just whispering to you.
Get Craig to do it.
Hey, come here.
Shh, I'm not allowed to tell you this, but your lines.
No.
Reality code.
Yeah, just say reality code. Look, just say mumbo jumbo.
Anyway, one of the things that I was thinking that would possibly make this story even better for me, because I'm loving it, is having more people in it. There aren't that many characters. It feels very much like this is an issue. This is a story that is only affecting Nick and Leanne and Toya and not really anyone else. And there's Rowan.
In this cult.
This is a 4-man story.
I do want there to be more people. I want, I've just come from a seminar. I just went on a retreat. Did you though? Because I didn't see anybody.
Yeah, I mean, do we get other cult members? Sorry, Simon, we will get back to you, I promise.
Sorry, Simon, we forgot you left again.
Will we get to have more cult members? I can't see any of the other main characters on the story getting hooked in by the cult. Toya hasn't got any friends. This is the problem. That she's always, since Imran left, been a bit of a... No, she hasn't.
Friends?
Get Fizz involved, get Maria involved. They're there, but...
No, I don't want that, no.
I
think it's strong because it's of how few characters there are in it.
I don't know. Maybe I'd ruminate on that one a bit longer.
They introduced a new character who was a fellow cultist, kind of a bit like Sinead had that weird friend that thought you could drink nettle juice or whatever she killed herself with.
Well, Bethany, was it last week or this week? I can't remember. When Toya's talking to Bethany, saying, "Oh, I've one of my mates did an expose. I tried to do an expose. Maybe that was Wednesday's episode, right. But they got shut down. So she's involved slightly, but yeah. Now that Simon's disappeared off, just to segue back into what we were supposed to be talking about, he was the only other character that had anything to do with it. So I don't know. Anyway, I just thought, could Willow be Zoe Tattersall? Has she rebranded? She's like,
they wanted me to be in the new Downton movie, and I said no. I've already said I'd be a cult leader in Coronation.
That would be a great reveal, wouldn't it?
Maybe it's Bern Gorman and Willow's a man.
Maybe.
I mean,
although
they got the pronouns wrong.
Didn't they go around? Didn't Nick and Leanne go and see a speech that Willow did? So
yeah,
can't be Joe Froggatt because Leanne knows what Zoe looks like.
Oh
well, we all changed in 25 years.
I mean, maybe Bern Gorman is the secret puppeteer of Willow.
Who knows?
Maybe he's the magician behind the curtain.
Very much doubt it, but I can't wait to find out.
It better not be a disappointment. We do this all the time though. We go, wouldn't it be really good? And Corey's like, hang on, what are you talking about? No, shut up about that.
The Paul storyline has disappeared off again, but in the time being, this is doing a good enough job of being my favourite story, even higher than what's going on with Joel at the moment, which come to later. Anyway, so back to Simon. He gets in a taxi and goes. Bye.
Simon's gone.
Simon has gone. Bye, Simon.
Will that be the last time we ever think about Simon?
No, because we will do a character profile revisit of him very soon. I expect.
Look out for that.
So he gets in the taxi. Everyone's waving after him. Nick says, "Are you okay, Leanne?" And she's like, "No." It was a nice setup for the AI Ollie, wasn't it? If she feels that her other child has abandoned her, kind of makes sense that she might want to reconnect in some way with Ollie. Toya tells Nick that she's going to try and find more dirt on the Institute. She just needs Leanne to hear what they're really like because she is proper concerned about her.
This is where I felt a little bit annoyed with the story because it did feel like we've seen this before. It felt like we were going around in circles with Toya going, I'm going to find out some dirt. And then she finds something and it doesn't really work. Yeah,
I did think that Wednesday's episode, Toya was coming off as a bit of a Bethany, a bit of a, I'm going to poke this bear a bit too much, annoyingly.
Yeah, but with Bethany and Toya in this story, it's like, I'm going to poke the bear and get a reaction. I'm brave and cool and clever and interesting. And you find out the bear that they're poking is just actually a really enraged hedgehog.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, how much is it harming Leanne? You're ruining your relationship with your sister here, coming across as being a bit too crusadey about it.
Wind your neck in.
Yeah, but I mean that obviously changed on Friday for us.
I didn't like the fact that she was like, I can't find anything online. Why? But she found something the other day, like instantly, and then it got deleted. Now she literally can't find anything. I refuse to believe there's anybody that has got that much of a tight hold on something on the internet.
Well, you don't believe that people would delete it straight away? Or?
I don't believe that, I know some big things have this, but it just seems like too rinky-dink to be able to lock down the whole internet. If taking naughty videos of Abi costs $5,000 a year, then how are they funding this?
And I think because we haven't seen how big the Institute is.
All we've seen is Rowan sitting in front of
sitting in Chariot Square Hotel.
Of backgrounds that say Autovalent Institute, which... I mean, we've got a background.
Where's Rowan in this palace?
We want to see, people walking around with clipboards in a big building and saying things like, we've investigated the breach and we've nullified the threat.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's the only member of the Institute we've seen is Rowan. Therefore, we think that the Institute is quite small, but actually it's got the power to have things taken down.
This is the trouble.
Quite gel.
They keep telling us, the Institute's really powerful and scary, but they don't show us. They just say, oh no, the Institute's done it again. And literally, like I said, it's just Rowan with a background. Yeah. Like, you can print that off the internet. Off your printer if you've got... It's a good printer, but you can still print it off yourself.
Wednesday, so this is when she's doing a bit more of a dirt digging.
She's like actually solicited responses, isn't she? She's posted somewhere going, hey, what's up with this then?
But not getting any responses, and anything that she is finding is getting taken down immediately. Leanne drops in, and Nick says, look, I think you and I need to clear the air. And she says, oh, fine, well, I need to speak to you about something anyway. So Toya tells Nick later that this post has been taken down now, and now she's also got a threatening message from the Institute's legal team.
I don't doubt that this happens with some things, but on what legal grounds? And what did she's getting threatened to be sued?
Well,
for what?
It's
for what?
Libelous, slanderous.
It's really hard.
Which one's the one when you type it on the internet?
Libel's when you write it, and slander's when you say it.
Oh, there you go. Maybe she's been doing a bit of both, hasn't she?
You can remember because slander sounds like slagging you off, and you can't do that in print.
What? Think you'll find you can. Anyway, so this is when Bethany overhears and says, oh yeah, my friend was going to do the expose, blah, blah, blah. There was a financial scandal apparently, and Toya's like, well, I'm going to definitely get to the bottom of this.
But they don't get any further with that. What? That's interesting. A financial scandal. In what way?
Well, it's where they're scamming money out of people, and Toya's saying...
Well, yeah, I know. Is it that, or is it some kind of tax thing? There's all kinds of weird stuff that people get up to. So what I'm wondering, is it just scamming their followers, or what?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. So Rowan turns up at the flat later to see Leanne, who's like... I need to do an upload. Rowan, let me upload now. And he's like, oh, well, slow down. He tells her about Toya being pretty active on social media and shows some of the posts that she's been putting. And he's like, don't worry, Leanne, nobody blames you. You mustn't get angry about this.
I know what you like.
Taken care of while we speak.
That's right, we're going to sue her.
Well, exactly. She gets a letter, doesn't she, Toya? The next
no, not before. All of her precious accounts have been suspended. Like at Veggie Lasagna Lover on Twitter, gone.
I don't know how many social media their thingies there are on Weatherfield. You got your Send PX and you got your
PX. She's been banned.
Friend Connect, is it? That's about it. So anyway, she's
still got Voggle.
She gets served a letter. There's lots of important letters being delivered this week. She got one. George got one.
It's like an advert for the Royal Mail.
Yeah. Anyway,
except
Institute are suing her for defamation.
Oh no.
There we go. That's what it is. So Leanne comes into the bistro later, and Toya tells her about the suing, and Leanne's just Team Institute on there. She's like, well, sorry, Toya, actions provoke reactions, and Toya's like, this is a massive scam. Why can't you see this? I'm trying to protect you. And Leanne just won't hear any of it and just drops off. Toya's back from seeing Adam later. She goes for a bit of legal advice. Adam suggests that she back down and write an abject letter of an apology, which she doesn't really want to do. And Nick thinks it's a good idea, but she's like, no, I'm not apologising. I haven't done anything wrong. He's like, please. I can kind of understand and see Nick's point of view here as well. He doesn't want these two at war with each other. He sees it's not healthy for them, and he knows it's upsetting Leanne, who he does still love.
The last time somebody got entangled with these two sisters, it was way much more fun than I'm having. Bloody Imran.
Yeah. Well, that they do kind of go a little way, just a tiny baby step further towards the inevitable storyline ruining affair in the end of this scene, because she's like, oh, Nick, you're the best brother-in-law ever.
What a clumsy thing to say.
This story is just going to grind to a horrible halt.
Desperate, sad.
I hope...
Hurdle.
I hope, if it's going to happen, which it is, we can tell it's going to happen. If it's just a little kiss and nothing else, and they regret it the next day or something, I'll be like, fine, whatever. Them. If you had to do that for the I don't know what reason. Yeah.
Soap mag cover.
And whatever. But,
shocking snog.
Gosh, if this turns into a full-blown affair, I just...
Throw them in the bin.
Because I wouldn't mind so much if I wasn't loving the story.
Yes,
the way
it doesn't need it. There is no story on Coronation Street that needs an affair story on top of it. If you want an affair story, write one. Don't write all these really interesting stories and go, oh, but what if they had an affair as well? No, it doesn't make it anything better.
It just makes me really, really sad.
It's like that stupid bloody, what's that, Salt Bay guy. You know that guy? He does this and he's got the restaurant. Oh, you don't know anything about the internet. The guy who does this with salt. And then he's opened all these restaurants. And you go there and he just goes, oh, would you like a steak? You say, yes, please. And he said, right, it's got gold on it and it's £1,000. And you go, oh, that's even better than normal. It's not really though, is it? It's just inedible, stupid foil that you stick on top of food that's not interesting and it just makes it more expensive. Stop putting gold foil all over everything. It just looks crap. It looks rubbish.
Does he also go around to a restaurant and squirt tomato sauce on your hoops on toast for you?
No, but that might be his next gimmick.
That got your blood boiling, didn't it, when Dee-Dee was doing that to Joel?
Don't put condiments on other people's food. Just leave me alone. I'll put my own condiments on. I'm a grown woman.
That's what Joel should have said.
I'm a grown woman, Dee-Dee.
Anyway, we'll get to that one later. So, end of the episode on Wednesday was Nick coming back to the flat. Leanne does not want to discuss Rowan versus Toya with him. And she's like, you're being such a stubborn cow about this. And said, your very loving and loyal sister is risking losing a load of money, which she doesn't have, let's not forget, to defend you against this criminal madman, or I can't remember what he calls him. And Leanne says, well, Toya just loves the drama, doesn't she? She probably thinks being sued by Rowan is the best thing that's ever happened to her.
Yep.
Nick huffs off and Leanne then goes back to her laptop and talks to whoever it is she's talking about, still a mystery by the end of Wednesday, how much she loves them. You didn't kind of mention at the end of Monday's episode that you straight away were like, that's Ollie, do it, weren't you? Whereas I completely fell, if I hadn't spoken to you or kind of read any talk about it on the internet, I would have absolutely been thinking, this is Rowan. Although I suppose the signs were there, the fact that every other time that she zoomed with Rowan, we've seen him, and the fact that they were being purposefully mysterious about what was going on
Leanne's
on the
not
screen.
that nice to any living human.
She is to Rowan, though.
No, she doesn't talk to Rowan the way she talked to Ollie.
To AI Ollie.
She was just completely unguarded and...
She was, fantastic performance by Jane Danson. Absolutely wonderful. And it's... Yeah, that's kind of the contrast from the huffy, stroppy cow of a character to this soft and very, very open. I love the range. Anyway, Friday. This is when Toya overhears Leanne telling her laptop that she loves them. She kind of walks half in on it. Leanne doesn't realise that she's being spied on.
She wasn't spied on it, she just walked in.
Yeah, she just walked in on it, and Toya's like, who are you speaking to? Is it Rowan? And I was like, no. She also says she's going to try and talk to Rowan later and get him to back down about the whole suing business, which is, again, something that I liked about Leanne this week, that she may have all these spats with Toya, but she doesn't want to see her
ruined.
Yeah, she doesn't want to see her drag through the courts because of this.
She's not going to get any rent off her if she's being sued.
Do you think Toya's paying rent?
No.
So Nick has had, and they don't go anywhere with this. I don't know
at
whether
the
they
moment,
will.
But they will do.
Do you reckon? There's this dodgy veg delivery, these kind of sad cabbages and giant...
manky carrot.
Yeah. Oh, what was that Toya said? Nick, put down the carrot and speak to me.
It's
great. So Leanne's changed the supplier for the bistro for someone who lives in... is a member of... Can't speak. The Institute.
Yes, that's the point.
It's poor quality veg.
This is what will happen. They're all tight-knit, aren't they? So she's, helping them out. And she's pretending, or she's acting like, oh, they're doing us a favour here, but they're not.
And Toya's like, look, I haven't got time for that at the moment. That's next week's story. I overheard Leanne telling somebody that she loved them earlier on the laptop, and Nick straight away knows, he thinks he knows that this is Rowan.
Yes.
So he goes home, and what does he find there? But Leanne sitting at the table, hand in hand with Rowan. They did really look like they were looking at
What did you think they were looking at?
I mean, because of what you'd said, I thought it was Ollie. I don't think anybody... I don't know whether this was in the spoilers for this week. I almost kind of hope it wasn't, so that everybody got the same horrific shock that we did. But I don't think anybody could have predicted the sheer terror of what they were actually looking at. And the fact that both of them were looking so gooey-eyed at the laptop screen makes it even creepier, doesn't it? Like, Rowan... I mean, does Rowan actually believe that this is nice and helpful, or is he just saying that?
This is not... This... I don't see this being outlandish and weird in a few years' time. This is just going to be a way that people cope with mourning and grief that is going to be quite shocking to some people. But to other people, I think they'll just find that, like Leanne said, this is no different from having a dream or looking at a picture.
I mean, with the fact that you can clone people's voices with AI now.
Well, I mean, it was literally the plot of a Black Mirror episode or more than one. You know, there have been loads of fiction, sci-fi where a dead person is recreated with a computer.
But when they do there is also a sinister edge to it. The moral of those episodes isn't, and that's the right thing to do.
No, I know, but...
That's a perfectly healthy way of dealing with your grief.
I know.
But for some people it will work.
But you see, if they can say, no, but it, you know, what really is the difference here? If you only ever speak to this person online, or, you know... It's exactly the same. We've uploaded everything about them. You know, we took all their messages that you gave us, and we put together this facsimile, and it's completely the same as this person.
Well, it's
That's
also
what they'll say.
I mean, it's also like, you know, the holograms on Red Dwarf, isn't it?
Yeah.
The generated version
Nobody
of this person
watched
that's no longer with us.
Red Dwarf and said that Rimmer was a horrific aberration, did they?
No, but it was the fact... I don't know who it was, because I don't know anyone on the computery team, but whoever it was that put together that AI Ollie,
it's really uncanny.
It's really, yeah. I mean, I think they must have got a picture of whoever it was that the little kid who played Ollie before. Yeah, it did look like him.
Yeah, they aged him up.
She's aged him up. Yeah, I mean, Nick walks in and is like, "Haha, what are you doing there with your holding hand?" The holding hands thing. She didn't. It wasn't really romantic. Explain that, did she?
It wasn't romantic. It was just she was so moved by what she's seeing and so full of joy that she wanted to share. I mean, also, maybe you could say she's craving human touch because she's having this deeply emotional moment and she can't touch Ollie. But, you know, this is what I said, the uncanny valley, which is what they call it, where there's a kind of a gap between totally realistic and unrealistic.
But this was more on the unrealistic side. It made it look just too freaky, like purposefully janky, wasn't it? The mouth movements and when you've got AI Ollie sitting there on the screen and his head's kind of moving back and forth.
But it's fascinating because human beings have always been scared of things that look human but aren't. Like dolls, that's why we don't like dolls, or marionettes and puppets and things. And I read this scary comment on the internet that said, why are we so scared of things that look human but aren't? Is it because at one point in our evolution there was something that looked like us but it wasn't us that we should be scared of? Isn't that creepy? Yeah. I mean, if you think about a really early man, there were more than one species of human-like apes living on the planet at the same time. Maybe we've retained that fear of something that looks like a human being that isn't.
I think it's just an innate fear that computers will take over and replace us.
No, it isn't to do with that, because before we had AI and computers, it was just dolls.
Right.
Do you think about how spooky dolls are and puppets and how we don't like that?
Yeah.
That's always been the horror movie trope, and now it's going to be bloody robots coming after us, creepy haunted robots.
With Ollie's face.
Great. Well done, technology.
Anyway.
Hope you're happy.
Yeah, absolutely. They were spot on with how kind of bad they made it. And Leanne, I can't remember whether it was this scene or later, and Leanne's like saying, look, I know that it's not perfect, but it's kind of like I got my boy back.
I know,
here.
It's really sad.
And she must know looking at it that it doesn't look right, but she's so desperately sad and lonely and still mourning the loss of her son and also the departure of Simon that she's willing to grab onto anything.
Yeah.
That could be a bit of a replacement.
She says to Nick, I know you think this seems morbid. And that really is a really good word for it. It's just very morbid. I know there's a lot of people on the internet that really hated this. But I think Corey's right to have done this because this will happen. People, as the technology becomes better, people are going to have companies saying, do you want us to do this for you, you know?
And Nick's reaction when Leanne says, do you want to talk to him? And he's
like,
no. That's a perfectly normal reaction to have. I wonder whether anybody would be introduced in this story who would say, oh no, there's nothing wrong with it. Because both he and, Toya was going right off on one about it later. I can't remember what she called him.
Operation.
Yeah, exactly.
Fancy words, isn't she? Full of fancy words, that Toya.
Not like
she went to university.
Did she? No, she didn't. Maybe she did. Yeah, college at least.
College.
Anyway, so back at the bistro, Nick's telling Toya about this, and this riles her up even more. So she's going across to the cafe, I think, later on, which is when she sees Rowan in the street. And this is one of her many brilliant showdowns with him. I just love it. Sometimes she's on the back foot in these. She kind of starts off giving it all that, and then backs down a little bit. But she was on fire today, calling him a snake oil profession. It's like, oh yeah, the older...
A snake oil profession?
A snake oil salesman, the oldest profession on the planet, and Rowan's
I don't know why she said that.
Well, it's to set up Rowan's line of not the oldest profession on the planet, and your sister knows all about that, doesn't she? When he's making slight insinuations that Leanne has led on her back to work sometimes, and Toya's like
sexist.
What you know? And he's like, yeah, Leanne's told me quite a lot about my past actually, and. You're treading a very dangerous path. About her past, actually, sorry. And you're treading a very dangerous path. I can't get my words out.
No.
If you're... What?
Yeah.
What have I said wrong?
No, you just... Yeah.
She is treading a very dangerous path, is Toya, if she carries on threatening to get the police or the press onto the Institute, because this is what Leanne's doing. Sorry, I didn't explain that scene very well at all.
The thing that's interesting is that he's clearly scared of the press... But why? I don't understand. Okay, I'm not even going to bother.
Okay.
They're just, it's insurmountable. Don't worry about it. You can't write about them or investigate them because they'll sue you, and that's the end of it. Don't ask questions.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I've forgotten. Sorry. Oh my God, I'm doing terribly. Right, anyway, Nick tries to talk to Leanne later about how worried he is about her. It's like the Institute's draining you dry here, and now you're talking to a creepy AI of your dead son. This is bloody weird, Leanne. What are you on? Toya comes in at this point fuming after speaking with Rowan and him kind of putting the frighteners on her maybe a little bit. And so she's mid-rant when there's a knock at the door. And it is DC Kit. I can't remember whether we mentioned him last week when we were talking about do we describe or do we refer to Swain as Swain or Lisa now. And he's still just Kit to me. He's not DC Green, is he?
No. But thank God it was Kit and not Craig.
Yeah.
If Craig came round to arrest you for attempted murder, you'd be like, just go away.
No.
Sorry, grown-ups are talking, Craig, go away.
She's been arrested for suspected murder.
Oh no!
Which one? Says Toya. No, it's Rose. They've dug her up. So Kit's interviewing her.
Exhumed.
This story, which everyone had been saying was including us, was like a 1-episode wonder. Are they going to even mention it again? Or even there were some people on the internet saying, "Oh, they've clearly dropped that story about Toya's dead baby because of the reaction that we got." Nope, it was just waiting in the wings, and.
Yeah.
Again, it could well be that after everything that happened today, that it's put back to bed again.
I don't think so.
I'm thinking now that this is going to have a bit of legs on it.
You know, it was a story that I don't think anybody wanted, and I still wish they hadn't done it. And I again, when Toya was being interviewed today, it did feel again like they were going, no, it could have happened. Everybody listen to what she's saying. I don't know why she didn't say anything about, she said about HIV tests and stuff, but she never said anything about pregnancy test or being given emergency contraception or anything like that. which I genuinely think that they could have talked around that, because not every time you take that it works. And I think a traumatized young girl who had been raped might not want to take a pregnancy test unless if you're being hovered over by a nurse, it's difficult to get out of it. But if you get sent home with one, and I don't know what they were like 20 years ago, however long it was ago, I can see you just not wanting. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to put it in the bin. I'm not going to do it. This didn't happen to me. I'm not going to address it or think about it. I can totally see all of that happening, but they didn't really go down that route.
They kind of went down the route in the later scene of her saying, well, I was a survivor. I just kind of painted on a happy face and tried to get on with my life to show the world that Phil Simmons wasn't affecting me.
Unfortunately, every time she does say something about it, it just feels a bit like Ian McLeod's like, it could have happened.
It could have happened.
Which is not what you want, but you also have to address the questions that inevitably follow.
Yeah, if you're going to go down that route, you've got to expect people to say, prove it. Well, make us believe it happened.
Precisely.
And... but it's kind of working on me.
This is what I was going to say.
I still wish that they hadn't. I wish they hadn't done it, but
yes,
by God, that they sell it.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't done it. But this episode was a very good episode.
Yeah,
and partly it was because of this storyline, and partly it was because of Georgia Taylor's performance in these scenes, because it was heartbreaking.
Just watch that scene where they're talking about her being spotted in the park. Smashing the car. We found human remains. The squirming that she's doing in her chair, where she knows what it is, and you could tell she's trying to stop herself from giving away that she knows, but she can't because she's so full of emotion with it. That was superb.
This was fantastic. But, I will say, if you really, really needed this story element in this plot, because you've got Leanne spilling secrets to Rowan, which he then uses as blackmail and leverage against his enemies, aka Toya. You could have just gone down the route that Toya killed Imran and she did it on purpose, and she told Leanne that exact thing.
Leanne does know that. That's exactly the thing, isn't it?
She already knows. Like, if you want to pin murder on her, you could do it because she actually did murder somebody that Leanne knows about. Why resurrect this storyline and do something that's quite... I mean, this whole thing, combined with Ollie and the AI stuff, this is such a triggering topic. There are going to be people that really can't watch this without it raising lots of really horrible and uncomfortable memories and sad things that people probably don't want to think about when they're watching Coronation Street. And that's not to say that you can't explore really sensitive topics, but I just don't think a story about a cult is the great avenue to do it. I think, you see what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder whether the reason that they can't bring up the Imran killing is because she's been cleared of it in court. She's been found
because they didn't have the evidence.
Guilty. They can't retry her for it.
Yeah, but they didn't have all the evidence, though.
I don't think it matters. I
think it does matter. What the hell do you mean? What? So if I go to court and I chop you to bits, right? And then I go, it wasn't me, and they say, right, take you to court, and I go, it wasn't me, and they go, well, it can't be her. She said it wasn't her. And then I go home, and then I bring the bloody axe out, and they're like, oh no, we missed a bit of evidence.
I don't know.
No, it doesn't work like that. If you have significant new evidence.
Oh,
do you really think so?
I don't know.
It can't possibly work like that.
I've shown many times on this podcast before that I do not understand.
If you literally did not have a key piece of evidence, and it would have made a significant impact on... I mean, you got a confession here from the person who did it. I killed him. Leanne says, she said, I killed him.
Yeah, I know.
And also, this is a soap, so it doesn't matter.
That's it at the end of the day, isn't it?
That's it at the end of the day.
It's Coronation Street legal system, anything goes. I think that it being a baby storyline, though, I know that she absolutely loved Imran, but I think it being about her dead baby, getting her to talk about the scene about when it was born,
much more...
she tried to resuscitate it.
No, her.
that just gave the opportunity for an even more emotional performance than Imran would have done, I think.
I know what you mean, but I'm just saying, I feel as though they're using incredibly triggering and sensitive topics in something that feels like it's like using a nuclear bomb on an ant's nest. Like, you don't really need to do that. You could have used something else.
Boiled the kettle.
Yeah, just probably.
Anyway, so...
Do you see what I mean? Because we've had people contact us. People have gone through this. This is one of the most traumatic things. I can't think of many other things that could happen to you that happen so regularly to people as this. I feel like this is...
But then doesn't that... I'm not trying to argue against you, but does the fact that it's a more of a common thing mean that people might sympathise with her more? Because
my point isn't that they shouldn't have done this story at all. My point is that they didn't need to put it in this story. It's like, it's a silly story. To go
alongside the cult story. Yeah.
It's a silly story, and it's kind of campy and hammy, and I don't feel like they're really... Why are they putting dead children into this story? It's so emotive.
Reality coding.
It's so emotive and really, it's kind of a sacred trauma and grief. And I feel like it feels a bit exploitative to put it into a cult storyline. But who
that makes sense to me, and I absolutely get that.
When they had another avenue right there to go down with Toya about actually killing somebody, and it would have actually been more tense because she did do it, and we know that she did it, and she got away with it. This storyline, I don't know what to think.
I wonder whether they're just bringing this up because she didn't do anything wrong.
She didn't do anything wrong.
Whereas with that
where are we going to go with this?
The Toya killing Imran storyline was so utterly ridiculous and character assassination-y that
got really mad.
If it was brought back up again and Leanne told Rowan that she knows Toya did it on purpose, what's the get out for Toya this time? I don't know how she would be able to wriggle out of this.
I don't know.
This, you get the heavy drama of the interview scene, the possible will she get in trouble for it, but at the end of the day, she's not going to be, is she?
I don't know that that's true.
I don't know where it's going, but...
I tell you what though, watching this was awful with how Kit was treating her and all the questions he was asking her, because we kind of talked over it, haven't we? She says, what have you, what am I here for? They say they found a body. Then she just tells them, well...
She can't hold it in, can she?
No.
Because, as I said, she was squirming and she just wanted to say, and...
The baby's name is Rose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
she's born 2.5 months premature. She never took a breath, tried to revive her. And Kit's like, oh, yeah, well, how hard did you try to solve the baby? He's just doing his job. But he wasn't completely arsey, because he did say that her remains would be treated with respect.
No, that was more like... Toya was saying, what are you going to do with her? And it was more like, well, we are, of course we're going to...
I really, really hope that Toya gets to give the baby a proper burial.
Yeah.
I hope that she gets a gravestone.
It was heartbreaking.
So she can get closure on her.
This was really sad. This nearly made me cry. And the way that she was talking about, I wish, my life had been different. I wish she had lived because my life with his daughter. And she didn't even finish the sentence. She doesn't need to. It was horrible. And, all the people that said, oh, it doesn't make sense because she's never acted like she had a baby once. I don't understand what you expect her to have done. I think everything she did makes sense in the context of what we found out about her background. And I also, I don't think a woman wanting a child has got anything to do with whether she's had a child before or not. I don't understand why it's got anything to do with it.
And purposefully bringing up the fact that she tried to give her mouth to mouth as well, wasn't directly saying it, but if that wasn't a call back to Eva and baby Susie and the fact that she tried to revive her, I don't know what was, but it makes that story, like we said at the time, it makes that, or a few months or so ago, that makes that particular scene have even deeper meaning.
One thing that was really hard to watch also was this poor woman in an interview room with 3 men interrogating her about why she did this or that when she was a scared girl who didn't even know she was pregnant. They've got no idea. And I found it really offensive that he's there questioning her.
Even that lawyer of hers wasn't especially supportive, I thought. Interesting that they have got a new lawyer.
They've got a new lawyer.
I mean, I don't expect to see him. Or he was the duty solicitor because apparently Joel must have been busy or something. But it was refreshing to have a non-important character playing that role, because it just always seems so convenient that, oh, look, one of the main characters is here to do it.
Well, I mean, I thought it's interesting that it was it a deliberate choice to not include Swain in this? Or, you know, why did they use the character of Kit? I mean, before I really got into knowing more about behind the scenes of Coronation Street, I would have said it was definitely a deliberate choice, but for what reason I couldn't tell you. But knowing what I know now, it might just been that she was ill and they had to get Kit to do it. But do you think it would have been different if you had seen that scene with Swain?
Well, she would have been probably more sympathetic,
I
wouldn't
don't know.
she?
I don't know, because if you're a woman who's a mother and you're interviewing somebody and you suspect her of being a baby killer, I think that's a very emotive. There are a lot, you know, you only have to look at like Lucy Letby and what comments people make about her. Women are not sympathetic to other women who they feel.
Well, we do know that Swain has got a bit of a grudge or whatever with Toya as well, haven't we? There was that scene with this one survived Toya or whatever she said when Spider avoided getting shot. So she kind of knows that Toya is a bit of the one that got away, and
if you that's true. If you think she killed Imran, and now you hear this about her backstory, how sympathetic would you actually be? I don't think that Kit was very sympathetic. Obviously a strategy to try to rattle her into making a confession to see if she did do it. I mean, but it's difficult. What do you do? What are you supposed to do? Just be nice to everybody in case they're innocent? That's not how it works.
Toya talks about not wanting this to get into the papers. She kind of desperately pleading, wasn't she?
I thought that was really weird.
I don't want Phil Simmons to find out about this. I deserve to not have him come back into my life.
Yeah, I get that, the Phil Simmons thing, where she was just saying, like, I don't want you to involve this. I want to be free from him. But her being obsessed with the papers and, like, her reputation just felt out of character a little bit.
No, maybe. I don't know. I didn't think anything odd of that. Anyway, that was kind of the end of that scene, but that was all fantastic.
Well, he's just basically... Kit also insinuates that perhaps not only did she let her die, but she might have killed Rose.
Because wouldn't that be handy to not have a baby?
Well, also because you're taking out the fact that you were raped on the baby, and Toya was, you know... couldn't believe this, you know, she was saying, oh, she's innocent, she didn't do anything wrong, I wish she had lived, you know.
So they go back,
and she says, please don't, say what you want about me, if you want to say something in the papers, fine, whatever, but don't you dare say I hurt her on purpose, because I didn't.
At some point Janice should probably be involved in this. Maybe we just get to see Toya have a phone call with her.
No, Michael, a lovely AI Janice.
Yeah, they could.
You didn't do anything wrong, pet. Oh, thanks.
Anyway, so Nick comes and collects Toya from the police station, saying that Leanne is caught up with something in the bistro. But we'd previously seen, which I skipped earlier, the scene of her FaceTiming Rowan and saying, "Did you tell the police about Toya's baby?" And he's like, "Oh no, our privacy is sacred." So she's clearly told him about the whole Rose.
She explicitly says the only people that know about Rose are you, me, Nick, and Toya.
Yeah. But he's like, you do believe me, don't you? And she's like, oh, I always believe you, Rowan. So anyway, Nick comes into the flat later, and Nick and Toya are there, and she for a moment is concerned for her sister, but then she tries to use her institute babble on her and trying to talk about getting over it, whatever. I can't remember what she says. She basically accuses Toya of bringing this all on herself, doesn't she? It's another karma kind of talk that she gives her, and things soon turn pretty sour between them, with Toya accusing her of telling the police herself to try and score brownie points with Rowan, and Leanne's like, no, I'd never do that, and I don't think she would. So Leanne...
No, that's a bit too convoluted.
Leanne does admit that she was on the phone to Rowan earlier when Toya was in the police station, but she was trying to get some help. She said, I did not tell him about Rose, though. And Toya says that I'm fed up of listening to your lies, storms out. So Leanne was 100% lying there. Toya doesn't know she was, but they've been at each other's necks for so long
There's
now.
no
She's naturally
way
going to say that.
This is really interesting, because you're going to get super paranoid here. Even I was going... Wow, no, what? Leanne didn't tell, but she did though. I just thought
I know.
So convincing as a liar. I mean, it's easy to be a liar when you're an actor on a soap, because you're always lying all the time. There's no difference between performing one thing or another. But normally they ham it up more, and they try to make it more like you know this character is lying, and they kind of like do a few tells to make, but Leanne was just like 100%, I did not do this, it wasn't me, I didn't, and you start thinking, maybe it wasn't her, it definitely was her. She's a good liar.
Yeah.
She's probably the best liar, apart from Joel, on the show at the moment.
Yeah. The episode ends with Nick telling Leanne, look, you better not be lying to me or your sister. It's basically like or we're done kind of thing. So
no more secrets.
Not going to be too happy when he finds out.
Well, Leanne's like, it's fine. Then they're not going to go to trial. I didn't tell Rowan.
Yeah.
Etc.
So,
did you remember Simon left earlier at the beginning of the week?
Remember that? That's how we started.
I forgot about that.
So Institute stuff, absolutely fantastic.
Top notch.
How did you just before we move on find Simon's exit? Did you think it was suitably low key for a character that's not had a whole lot to do in the past years? Do you think he deserved better, or?
It's difficult to know. Because the thing about Corrie is that you're going to get people coming and going all the time, and you don't know whether Simon's going to be back. I don't know if Alex Bain will be back as Simon, or if they'll recast him. I find it hard to believe that they would be, that just write the character off now.
It's too important as a branch on the Barlow family tree. Yeah.
I mean, in 10 years' time, a different producer might go, let's bring back Simon Barlow as some, I don't know, blonde hunk. It's like what they did, so crazy. But yeah, I don't think it made sense to do a big song and dance about it, because
it wouldn't have befit the character.
Well, it's not just that. It's just I don't think it's a permanent exit. So I don't really... It's like, see you later rather than anything else.
And I think it probably would have just detracted from everything else, especially because, there wouldn't have been any kind of build-up to it because of the Roy focus last week.
And you've also got to think about the fact that the characters, like, in universe, think he's going off on a boat tour. That could be 6 months, a year, 5 years, whatever. Yeah,
but is that the best exit for him? Would it have been better if he'd been swallowed up by the Institute and just been sent off to a different branch, the other side of the world of the Institute? No,
because we would have been like, oh, well, now the Institute's been vanquished by Toya. When's Simon coming back?
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about that when we get onto the character profile of him eventually. So, anything else to add about the Autovalent Institute? Do you think that how far much in trouble do you think Toya could potentially go here?
See, this is the thing, they're ruining this hilarious storyline about a cult with this really horrible, traumatic extra bit on top.
Oh yeah,
I want to go, isn't it hilarious? I can't say that when all this trauma's bobbling around.
I don't need Toya to... I just can't tell, because I just got the mental block of the affair in my head. But I don't need her going to prison or anything like that. But if it does, then I'll be there for it.
I mean, it's outside of the control of the Institute now, isn't it? But it's working as a deterrent because Toya's going to be too focused on trying to fight this battle to really do anything about the Institute. So they don't really care whether she goes to prison or not. The only thing is, if she doesn't go to prison, they've lost their, the
trump card against her.
Well, they still got Imran.
I wonder whether if Leanne finds out that Rowan did dob her in, because I'm assuming he did, is that going to be enough to break the spell that he has over her? Is that how it's going to end? It's difficult because she is so bewitched by them, and the more that she listens to his babble, the more that's going to be. But I wonder whether that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back in the end, and when they want to maybe call time on the story and have Leanne have the scales drop from her eyes.
Leanne knows somewhere in her head that it was Rowan. Because Rowan said, "Oh, it wasn't me. What about those other people that were at the park? They knew that she was there, and that it was probably them that reported her." But if she really believed that, she wouldn't have lied about not telling Rowan.
Not necessarily, because I don't think that she needs to be giving Toya any more fuel to hate the Institute.
No, I just think that she deep down inside knows Rowan did it.
Okay, well, look, let's move on. We've been going on about this song for an hour. Time for the brief engagement story.
Oh,
yeah, I've written all my other storyline titles here, haven't I? Never mind. Right, Gemma. We found out last week that Joel was violent. Lauren beat her and all sorts, and we didn't know where it was going to go next. I think we were all expecting to see a lot more Joel now than we ever have, and we certainly did get a lot of him this week. I'm still on the fence about whether he's going to become the next big villain or whether he's just going to be on the run. I don't know. But do you want to run down what's been going on here? Because it wasn't all about him trying to cover his tracks, was it? Because there was a bit of an engagement in there as well.
Joel gives Dee-Dee some flowers in the morning. Make sure to rip off the thing that says Lauren on there. And he says he wants to introduce her to his parents tomorrow. And she's a bit taken aback and nervous. And she's like, don't worry, they're going to love you. And he then goes to his car and he calls Ellie. And she's contacted him because Bethany's texted her. And he says, do not, just tell Bethany you can't talk to her again. And he looks really stressed out.
Yeah, he's really worried at the moment. I mean, most of the week he seems to be covering it well, but I think it's all been brought back to him, the fact that Roy's been released, and he's desperately trying to get Nathan sent down for this, isn't he? But he knows that it's not a surefire thing yet.
No. Bethany tells Sarah that she wants to see Ellie again and go to the police station. And Sarah's like, just don't stop pushing it. But Bethany doesn't listen to her mum. No. Craig finds Bethany in Seb's garden, and she admits that this Nathan stuff is getting her down, and she's worried that he could get away with everything he's done. And Craig's like, yeah, it is possible. And she says, it's not about me, it's about everybody else. And he says, what do you mean? And then she says, there is another girl that I know of who's called Ellie, and I can give you her address, and I know that Nathan used to abuse her. It's like, Bethany, you stupid! I can't believe you literally, her and Craig together are like, they just whisper to each other all the secrets that they know that they shouldn't be sharing, especially with each other. What the hell is wrong with you? She's like, give her a kick. Do you not find that really frustrating? Like, it's just, it's because she's billed as the world's last answer to the question, who's the greatest journalist of all time. On Coronation Street, everyone's like, Jen, yeah, she's great, she's award-winning, she's so brilliant. She's writing a story about air fryers last week, and this week she's just grassing up all of her sources. And also running up the company credit card. Who the hell gave her that?
I wonder whether they will eventually go down the route of turning him into a bit of a joke like they have with Craig.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to be like, oh, brilliant, he's a great cop now.
Well, he's really...
But now he's become a bit of a laughing stock, hasn't he?
So Joel goes to meet Nathan in prison, and Nathan is just insistent. He didn't do this. I'm not going back to prison for it. And Joel says, look, you plead guilty and you get a lesser sentence. Nobody thinks you're not going to get away with this. And you know what prison's going to be like. So you should be trying to get them to be as lenient as possible to you. Your face is going to be all over the TV and the papers. And Nathan's still trying to say, I didn't do it.
I really like the establishing shots they had in these prison scenes, which was like the camera behind the bars on the door with the visiting room on the other side. I think that was really well done.
The bars on the door go up and
there was
down.
There were a few, even tonight's episode, it was Dom Stevenson who directed today's episode, wasn't it? I can't remember whether he did Mondays or not. But again, there were a few really nice establishing shots. That one of Yasmin's garden where she and Stu were standing in the conservatory.
You see the kebab shop.
Yeah. Well, there was one where we saw into the conservatory and one where we saw out the kebab shop on the other side, which was lovely because it made, so often.
Well, it's a different angle. I just like different angles.
It's a different angle, but when there are characters inside somewhere and you can see outside, because that happens so rarely because it's all in studio.
I mean, just
sets.
to be clear, that part of Yasmin's house is the only place that you can film on the street and still be in Yasmin's house, that orangery. It's in a completely different place to the rest of the set, which is inside one of the studios. Yeah,
there was also the scene where Yasmin and Ken are standing outside the cabin, and you got a nice little angle where you could see the cabin on one side and the factory behind them. It's nice. It makes a nice difference.
Yep. So Dee-Dee tells Adam that she is crazy about Joel and she's scared about meeting his parents. And then they have lunch, her and Joel have lunch, and she makes him hoops on toast with ketchup on the top. It's supposed to be hilarious.
Yeah, she said that this is what Mum used to do and it was part of the family tradition.
What was wrong with it? Like, it was hoops on toast and what? Just tomato sauce?
Yeah. There is something wrong with that.
No, I know, but it's not hilarious.
I like a tin on toast as much as anyone else, but not with that on top.
Okay, it's like, if you're trying to replace Aggie, this is tame. Anyway, he's impressed. She's bought a new outfit, and he gets ketchup on his tie, which is probably the only reason they put it in the scene.
Yeah,
goes to wipe it off in the bathroom. His phone starts ringing, and just like any other character on Coronation Street, she picks the phone up and answers it.
Yeah, overused trope.
Why don't they leave each other's phones alone on this show? Because there wouldn't be as much drama. He comes out of the bathroom. Dee-Dee's just in shock. She's like, I answered the phone. It was Nathan. Are you ever going to tell me the truth? You still represented him. And he's like, oh, it's part of my job. Innocent till proven guilty.
I'd kind of forgotten at that point that she...
Well, she was mad at him.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. And she says, it's not the point. He groomed Bethany. Sarah's my neighbour. This is awkward. You act like we can't turn down cases, but we can. Just because you're the GT solicitor doesn't mean you have to do it.
I really, I'm not just praising the Battersby sisters today. I thought that Shanique was particularly good in that scene where she stood up in shock, backed up against her kitchen. I thought that the betrayal that she clearly felt, the character felt, from Joel was, it came across really well.
I'm sure in real life, you wouldn't be able to take opposing sides in a case if you are dating or live together. Surely there's some kind of conflict of interest. Anyway, she's like, this makes me question you. I don't know what you're doing. So they go to the cafe. They're still arguing, and Sarah and Bethany overhear this, and they're not happy about it either. And Joel says, I'm really sorry. I can't talk about my client's case. I was just the duty solicitor. There's loads of evidence against him. I'm not supposed to tell you this. It looks like he's going down. And Sarah says, well, the police are talking to Ellie today, and hopefully this means that there's more evidence to send him down. And Joel's like, what? Then we get a shot of Ellie's flat, and her flatmate's there answering the door.
Aoife.
And she says, Ellie's gone. I don't know where she is. She's packed her stuff and left. She was in the right state the other day, like she's scared of something. And then we see Joel deleting her contact information from his phone, which made me think that he had killed her as well.
Yeah, I mean, we do see her later in the week, so we know that
you
he's
just spoiled it. I was going to build up to the drama of that.
But I didn't appreciate the music while Joel was standing in the doorway of Eccleston and Sons deleting it. I know that he's a baddie. You don't need to have incidental background music to tell me that. I saw a great theory online, although it wouldn't really work in practice, I don't think, that he's got Lauren holed up inside that old abandoned Eccleston and Son building on Rosamond Street.
It wouldn't work because it's so close to everything, and people would have seen him. It's not close to the precinct, but it is close to where his girlfriend lives and within shouting distance, and everybody knows her there and they would recognise her voice. So she's like, help me.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a cool idea.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Maybe she's just had her tongue ripped out. Why not? So, Joel's at Redback later. Supposedly he wants to apologise to Bethany about representing Nathan, but then Craig comes along and goes, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but Ellie's disappeared. Joel and Dee-Dee are back in the flat, and he's just about to try to smooze into her, he's smoozing into her good books, and she says, I'm excited to meet your parents. She's really forgiving, isn't she?
Yeah.
How she managed to get around...
She's a good Christian lady, isn't she?
She's very forgiving, just like Jesus would be. Jesus would forgive Joel. I think everybody who doesn't like killers should also think about that.
So I said earlier that I ended up putting the Carla and Bobby stuff back into this episode, and all that happens with that is the Barlows are going to get together in the pub after Simon leaves, presumably so they can air their true feelings about the fact that he's going, and they're actually really pleased to see the back of him, I don't know. But Carla and Bobby are involved in that too. And when Dee-Dee finds out about this from Adam, she says, I don't know whether you'd be I don't think Daniel would be so keen to hang out with Carla and Bobby if he knew what they were doing behind his back, i.e. And it wasn't as a bit of a weak link really, but the fact that Bobby and Carla were covering up that he'd given false evidence to the police, and that then put the police on Daniel's tail.
Because he had the same coat.
Yes, that's it. And anyway, they all comes out in the Rovers later, and they all turn against Carla and Bobby, and isn't that tragic? And even Ken says, I expected better of you, Carla.
Did you put in that Bobby said he's going?
That's Wednesday.
Is that on the end of here?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm sorry that I spoiled the exciting
no, we
news.
can do, I suppose. I mean, it's the same mini story-ish, isn't it?
Where is it? Yeah, so Bobby's like... Carla tries to make up with Ken, but he's like, no, I will never forgive you. I forgive Daniel for pushing me down the stairs, but you covering for somebody that tangentially made Daniel look like he had a guilty coat is one step too far for me. Then Bobby tries to apologise to Carla in the flat, and he says, look, I'm sorry, I've been nothing but trouble. I'm thinking about moving back in with my nan. And Carla says, cool.
Yeah, she's not like saying, oh no, Bobby, don't go. And everybody watching was going, yeah, bye, Bobby.
Bye.
It was a little bit, I wonder how long in the future they're going to resolve this, because it was a bit like Daisy being kicked out of the Rovers a few months ago, and then we don't see her for ages, and then she's just going to go back again, isn't she? I don't remember what.
But it's also a bit like that Corey's going, look, Bobby's not gone down as well as we hoped he would. And people don't like him. What should we do? Let's make them feel guilty by making him homeless. I
mean, he's coming up to his 6-month anniversary. Did he? Is he on a 6-month contract or a year contract? I can't remember.
I don't feel guilty, but equally, I want the actor to get a better shake out of this character, because this character's dire.
Really is. Really.
And
really
his
is.
name is Jack Carroll.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's gone wrong. I don't want him to leave. I want him to be a liked character, because I've already bad. I don't like disliking characters, because I know some people take it personally, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings. But equally, he's done nothing to endear me or to him or anybody.
Well, it's not just that. He's actively made us kind of dislike him.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, well, sorry, I'll go then. And you're like, yeah, okay. That's fine with me. I'm just waiting for the moment. I was almost 100% sure at the beginning of the year that eventually we would grow to like him. And now I'm 50-50 on it.
Yeah, it's 6 months later and we're maybe a little bit closer, but
Corey doesn't feel like it's invested at all in this. It feels like they were really on board with everybody must love Bobby in the first month. And then it kind of filtered back that it wasn't working. And now they've lost their bottle. But it's their fault that he's so unlikable.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't understand.
Trying to put too much of
they
bad
put so much on
script.
him. They put so much on him. It's not fair at all. So what will happen to Bobby? I don't know. But if he does leave, I will be disappointed because I was waiting for the redemption. Anyway, on Wednesday, this is the Joel parent meeting, and I was so shocked that they are bringing Joel's parents into this.
Why?
Because I thought, where's this going? We don't care about his parents because he's a killer. And also, when they did turn up, they're horrible. So we're not going to feel sorry for them or anything. It's not like, do you remember, the best parents that have ever existed on Corrie who turned up as not regular characters were Michelle's parents.
I'm not going to say they're the best in Corrie history.
Right,
not when we got Mummy and Daddy Taylor.
No, but they weren't nice, were they?
No.
That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, they were really nice, decent people who just had a horrible daughter. And these people, imagine if they had been lovely.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering because I can't remember what the name of the actress was, but the one who plays Joel's mum, she came with a quite high pedigree, didn't she? She was on Crossroads.
She already had a big, kind of fan base. So I was like, oh, okay.
Neither of us were especially huge fans of her, were we? And not in she's supposed to be a mean character. I liked the idea of the scene and of her being an utter snob. But I don't know, there's something about her that just didn't quite work for me. But anyway, we are too far forward. That meeting doesn't happen straight away.
It hasn't happened yet.
What happened on Wednesday?
So, Joel's like, don't worry, you'll be fine. And then he goes to the prison to meet up with Joel and tells him... Nathan goes to... No. Joel goes to meet Nathan. Yes. Says, I'm dropping you... No, Nathan. This is what's wrong. Nathan tells Joel,
"We remember.
You're dumped. I'm getting a lawyer that believes in me." And this is bad news for Joel, obviously. A new detective then comes to pick Sarah up to speak with her down the station, and Joel sees this and is also worried. And this was about the planting of the evidence.
Yeah, because Joel thinks that if Sarah is found to have planted the evidence, then it's Nathan's just going to get let off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dee-Dee and the thing is about it is that he might end up being one of these people where everybody knows he did it, but there's no evidence. There's quite a few crimes, notorious crimes where the person who did it, and I can say this now actually because he's dead, O.J. Simpson, we all know he did it, but they never managed to get him for it. Maybe Nathan would be that figure in the world of Weatherfield that everyone knew, in inverted commas, he killed Lauren, but they just couldn't. And also, honestly, I can just see Spain going, do you know what? Let's just leave it. Just leave it. There's loads of crimes we haven't solved. Don't worry about this one. Just another notch on the bedpost. Anyway, then we get Dee-Dee meeting the Deerings, Mummy and Daddy Deerings, very posh, very stuck up. They're delighted to hear that she used to work for a very good lawyers in America, wherever that was.
I loved her. It was LA. I loved Mum's tactlessness. Like, what went wrong?
Yeah, because now she's in a back street. She's very frank, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. And Joel was not really doing the best job of defending Dee-Dee, was he?
No, he was absolutely awful.
He was kind of doing, Mum, but...
He wasn't even doing that, really. Then she starts going on about Joel's past girlfriends, and then she says, there was Emily, that was Emily. And Joel tries to shut this conversation down.
Yeah, I was really keen to find out what I thought we were going to get a revelation about Emily.
Me too. But... I was like, what's she going to say about Emily? Because Emily is the one who's turned up. We've seen her, we've met her. And there was something I didn't believe about her. Is she...
Yeah.
It was she... I was expecting her, half expecting her to go, and then there was Emily, and she died.
Yeah.
Joel goes, anyway, I'm going to the bar. He goes to the bar and he tells Sarah that Nathan's no longer his client, and also that he knows that she didn't plant the evidence. And she's like, tell the police that because they think it was me. Dee-Dee's trying to defend herself against Mrs. Deering and say, I like working here and looking after the people in my community. And she's like, community, that sounds rubbish. Ed comes over and he's scruffy and grubby because he's just come from work, and he tells them that he's a handyman, and she's like,
She's just like disgusted by this, isn't she?
Well, I mean, she would have been I don't think she would have been impressed that he had his own building business, but she would have been a lot more impressed than she was when she found out he was a handyman and worked at a hotel. It's like, yeah, I used to be a businessman, but then I just became a handyman. Don't ask questions about why, it's just too unsavoury. He goes, and she goes, you know what, Dee-Dee, I totally misjudged you. You've done well for yourself considering where you came from. She's like, what do you mean? I'm very offended. I can't believe you said that. And then she storms off. And Joel's like, oh, you can't help yourself, can you? And storms off as well. He catches up to her at home and she's absolutely devastated. She can't believe how badly this has gone. And he says to her, look, Mum's just can't come around. She's just a cow. I think I'm the luckiest man around. I couldn't imagine not being with you. Then he goes down on one knee and proposes to her and she just can't speak. She doesn't know what to say. And
I wish that I hadn't seen a spoiler that this was going to happen, because that would have been a great shock. Definitely a little bit too soon for proposing. What do you think he's
thinking and what?
Yeah, what's the reason? Is it related to Lauren? Is it that he just wants to get hold of her while he can? Is he worried that she's going to find out about him? Does he just want to become lead the normal life of a married? Oh yeah, what do you think?
It's very interesting, isn't it? What his is. I mean,
because it's not. I can't believe it's just he just loves Dee-Dee so much.
Why not?
That he wants to propose to her, because we know the inner turmoil that he's feeling over the whole Lauren thing. So it's got to be related to that somehow. That he's trying to.
Okay, well, I saw on our Facebook group this week there was a comment from Kaylee, and she has written, "Apologies if this isn't articulated well. I don't mean to offend, but I couldn't help but notice Joel was sat and purring at Bethany's photo. All the girls are white and the women he has proper relationships with are not. Does anybody think this could be part of the storyline, or am I overthinking it?" And a lot of people are chiming in saying, yes, I thought so. And then we've got Les here says, as a black person, I don't find your theory offensive at all. As a matter of fact, I was thinking the same thing. Also, by getting into serious relationships with black women, he can establish that he has a type. And blonde white women are the furthest thing from his type, so nobody will suspect him. Now, this was something I noticed as well myself. And I didn't bring it up because I didn't know where it was going or what the purpose, without having a theory as to why that was. I didn't really feel like bringing it up. But I now have a theory.
Go on.
Because, there's the white and the black thing, but there's also the education level.
Yeah.
So Emily and Dee-Dee are both educated black women, and the partners that he's got are poorly educated white girls. I wonder, and this is not to blame another woman for what Joel has done, but maybe he's internalised something from his mum, and he's seeking out and punishing girls that she hates.
Yeah, that she looks down on.
Because we also know from what the conversation that they had, the mum, that he had a girlfriend that derailed his education because he was supposed to go to Oxford. And
did they say that? I missed that completely.
He had a girlfriend that ruined him going to Oxford, and I don't think it was Emily. I think it was somebody else. Because if it was Emily, this whole thing's wrong. But is there a figure in Joel's life who was a scallywag young white girl?
Yeah, I wonder.
Who his mum hates, and he at a time his sexuality was, bursting into being an important part of his life. Because this is what happens with serial killers and murderers and sexual perverts, is there's something that happens to them as they're developing their sexuality, and it messes with their head, and they link sexuality to something that is completely inappropriate. And has he latched onto taking out this perversion or frustration or hatred because of his past, and he sees these women, these sort of uneducated white women, as a victim pool, but the black educated women seem so different to him.
That's a really interesting theory.
That they're like almost a different category of human beings. Like, I can respect and adore and love this person, but this is a completely different sort of person who's disposable and
Yeah. They may not go down that route whatsoever, but
sure.
It fits.
There's something. It's very striking, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think lots of people have noticed this about Joel. And also, I'm just going to say too, is there something here about the fact that Dee-Dee has decided not to have sex before marriage? Is Joel thinking to himself, I'm getting out of control here. I need to stop seeing these girls. I need to stop getting my rocks off and paying. Else. I need a wife. I need a girl who's going to help me out.
Yeah, I don't get
hurry up and marry her.
I don't get the impression from Joel that he wants to carry on this secret life
it feels a bit awkward.
He needs to distance himself from this. But not because he realises that what he's been up to is disgusting, but because he knows that he's killed
and he's
or horrifically maimed somebody.
And he's going to get caught if he carries on, and he's worried about it.
Yeah, so he just wants to, it's like retiring to be on an island for a life away from it all, and he thinks that getting some security with a wife, he can kid himself into thinking that it's all gone away, his horrific past.
It's really interesting. I don't know what they're doing with this storyline, but that theory does kind of fit, doesn't it?
Yeah. I loved this proposal scene because it stretched out over a few, didn't it? And he's down there on one knee, and Dee-Dee's like... and it's so awkward and cringy as he kind of realises that she's not going to fall at his feet and say yes.
No. Then we get Bethany... Sarah telling Bethany that she's been accused of planting evidence by the police and that Joel's going to help her and give her some free off-the-record legal advice. So, meanwhile, Dee-Dee's there going, sorry, Joel, not ready. We've only just got back together. I want our love to deepen and grow. And he says, okay, well, you don't need to apologise. We're obviously on a different page. And she kind of puts her head on his chest and he's crying. That was
a great moment. And I love how they make, when they make villains... have a heart and be human still.
I mean, because he is an evil guy doesn't mean he doesn't really love Dee-Dee.
Yeah, so often when they have villains on soap, they have them make the evil glare to the camera just so that we know. But this is along the same lines that we can see him making an expression that shows his true. Feelings, his true. But instead of the they'll never suspect, it's no, I really am.
Yeah, this isn't just a plan.
Yeah,
I love her.
I'm drowning here. Yeah,
poor Joel. Dee-Dee
tells. But he's not going to get a redemption at the end of this, is he? So we can feel bad for him now, but we'll be there at the gallows when he's gets his comeuppance.
Popcorn.
Yeah.
Right, Joel's gone later. Dee-Dee's with Ed and Michael, and she's telling them what happened. And Ed's like, "Oh, go for it. What is wrong with you?"
Yeah, that felt almost like it was the writers making him say it because somebody needed to say it.
They needed
but
to.
I really don't. I mean, Ed. I think like Joel before, but I think he would urge caution from getting into an engagement with somebody after such a short amount of time together.
I needed a bit more context to this. Maybe if Ed had said, maybe I missed it, but me and your mum got married, it's me that messed it up, we were young, it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, the Baileys have been quite a traditional family, haven't they? I suppose I can imagine, I can picture Ed and Aggie getting together and engaged quite young.
Yeah,
that was more the thing back in the day.
Find somebody and marry them.
Although it's not like they got married in the 60s or anything, or a time when they had to be chaste. I mean, I think they've been married since. I think it's been. When were they married? Probably the early 90s, late 80s, I imagine, the Baileys.
Yeah, maybe. Well, anyway.
But it came across as being a bit odd that he was so gung-ho about it when everybody... we weren't just saying, no, Dee-Dee, get away from this creep because of what we saw in the flashback, but it was...
It's inadvisable to marry somebody with as much baggage so quickly as you are with Joel.
Yeah.
And Michael's the only Bailey with sense in this regard.
Yeah, with his parents as well.
Yeah,
you're not just marrying him, you're marrying into a family with this...
snobs.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know whether Ed was actually aware of that. I don't know whether she's... I wouldn't tell my dad.
I can't remember whether she told him.
I wouldn't tell my dad that. Yeah, Michael's like, I think you should leave it. And really, it felt like part of what Ed was saying was you've hurt his feelings and his pride, and you can't do that to a man, which I thought was like a bit weird. Like, I'm not going to marry someone just so they're not embarrassed. So yeah, he's basically saying you've really upset him. I mean, I guess that is a bit of a tipping point in a relationship where if you turn down a proposal, how likely are you to carry on in that relationship?
Yeah.
Feels a bit awkward, doesn't it?
But Dee-Dee is very forgiving. I think that she... And she
No, it's
clearly...
not about Dee-Dee forgiving. It's about him. If I'm in a relationship and I realise that the other person is nowhere near as serious about it as I am...
If he's so desperate to try and act out this normal life, though, I think he wouldn't give up on her quite yet.
Do you think that Ed will say that? Or maybe he's a serial killer and he's trying to use you as an excuse.
I wonder whether we're going to see much of Ed and Joel together, and will Joel try and cajole Ed into getting Dee-Dee to say yes?
He doesn't need to.
When Joel knew about Ed's gambling problems before Christmas, he kept quiet about that, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
maybe
it
Ed
could
knows
be like,
he's a killer.
Ed, I owe you
covering
one.
for each other. Right, anyway. Then we see Ellie going down a metal staircase, which may or may not be.
Ellie is still alive.
Yeah, she's not dead. May not be in the studios. Joel is at the bottom.
We have stepped under those stairs.
Glaring at her. And they sit in the car, and it turns out she's reached out to him because she's trying to get more money out of him.
So he's told her, I think, you can't stay there anymore. They're after you. I don't care where you go, but
Just
get
get
out
away.
of that house.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't want to give you £300, but you got to earn it. And he kind of like goes,
grim. This was almost
earn your money, baby.
I don't remember seeing anything so overtly sexual and sordid and seedy on Coronation Street.
What did his gran think of this?
Just giving a little head, the slightest of nods
a
down
little
at
head.
his little head down to his crotch. It was
she says no.
Very suggestive.
And he's like,
for
get
Coronation
out.
Street.
Disgusting behaviour. Dee-Dee invites Joel to the pub and says, look, I will marry you if you still want to. And he's like, hooray! Maybe I will.
Oh yeah, I forgot they did get engaged by the end of it.
That's what I said.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
He's like, he's looking up for me now. Right, so the Baileys celebrate in the pub and Sarah comes in and she's like, oh, that's good. And Bethany's there, like, she keeps giving Joel looks.
She says, oh, my spidey senses are tingling.
You haven't got any, Bethany.
What does she... I don't get why she just suspects him.
Bethany, are you going to start your period tomorrow? It might be that. On Friday, Bethany and Daisy are talking in the cafe, and Bethany's brought her post in to show off to Daisy because she doesn't have any. And she's like, "Oh, I finally got my post forwarded from London," and she's opened this letter, and it begins a nonsensical side story whereby, number one, she worked for a company that gave her a credit card. Number two, she worked for a company that gave her a credit card and didn't cancel it when she left. And number three, when they found out she was still using the credit card after she left the company, they decided the best way to get in touch with her was to write her a letter to let her know.
Yeah, didn't really fly for me.
Who gives anybody a credit card these days? Don't tell me she was a freelancer with a credit card, because that is just ridiculous. So she must have worked for them, but why didn't she... It's stupid.
And the fact that she didn't think to look on her bank statements to find out...
Well, she didn't have access to it. She's like, I was trying to sort it out. And Daisy's like, ask them to send you a statement so you can work out what was spent. And she's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Oh my God. Okay, none of this makes you look good.
I saw a theory online as the episode was going on that maybe Lauren took her credit card. But no, she's still got the card, hasn't she? Yeah. Because Lauren was going through Bethany. It was Bethany's purse, wasn't it, that she was going through? That's why she was sacked from Roy's roles. Well,
wherever she is, she's been hit on the head.
Yeah.
Maybe she was buying a helmet. It's a bit late for that, though, isn't it?
Anyway, that was
Joel tells Bethany, "I'll help you if you need it." Mm. And you should go through your statements, which is interesting that he's telling her to look through the statements. Maybe he's like, I think it's him that's done this.
Do you?
I think, yeah, I saw a few comments saying it's him. Maybe it was him. Wouldn't it be funny if he went to a series of shops and did some transactions, and when you read them in order, down the side, it's like, watch out, Bethany, I'm going to get you.
Maybe.
But the thing is, I don't think she would ever notice.
Anyway, I was a bit conflicted on this story this week. In some ways, I was invested in the engagement, but really I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of him skulking and being villainous, and as soon as we had that scene with Ellie, then I was locked to the screen there. How did you find the amount of villainous Joel that we saw?
I think just enough. I think it's a bit like pepper, you don't want too much.
Okay.
Just a little sprinkle every now and then.
There's still plenty of time for him to
I think the biggest disappointment for me was the parent scene. They weren't so dreadful that I feel like we should have hated them, but they weren't nice. And they're obviously going to be a part of the story now, especially if they're getting married or they're going to go through with this engagement. How far are they going to get? Will there be a wedding? Are we going to see Dee-Dee and Joel get married?
I mean, this is the quick thing, isn't it? Is she going to end up marrying somebody who we've known has performed this terribly violent crime, or is she going to find out, on the wedding day?
Is she going to be Dee-Dee Deering, we said?
If she finds out before, she's not going to then go ahead and marry him, is she? Don't think that's a very wise idea, but.
Look,
so
Joel, I'm not saying it's a deal breaker, but I am thinking twice about this.
I'm wondering whether this is going to be kind of over and done by Super Soap Week. Is she going to find out then?
They're going to get married in October?
Are they going to want to rush to have a wedding? You know what some of these young Christian girls are like.
Wow, now she knows.
Got the idea in her head. I don't know. I kind of enjoyed this storyline this week. I'm excited about the prospect of a serial killer wedding. I mean, he's not a serial killer. He's not a serial killer. I don't even know he's a single
I don't even know he's
yet.
killed anybody.
No, exactly. So I think we better move on to the next story now. This podcast's going to be longer than last week's if we're not careful. The Abby. I don't know how to say this storyline. The Abby storyline. It feels like this was a little bit more, not quite so...
important.
Yeah, not quite...
Vital.
Yes. Not
urgent.
Yes. It was more of a B storyline. The Abby storyline was definitely a B storyline this week. But yeah, I'm finding it a lot more difficult to enjoy Cassie at the moment. Oh, she's supposed to be. No, she's supposed to be a nasty piece of work. But we kind of started off the podcast going, oh, yeah, Cassie's great. But as the weeks goes on, and there's no slight on Claire Sweeney. I think she's playing the character fantastically, but it's being harder. It's harder and harder to be a Cassie defender as the month goes on, isn't it? Anyway, so week starts off pretty bad for Abby as she finds out that another video of AI Abby getting up to all sorts of mischief has been posted. Obviously, she's gutted about this, and Kevin's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. The police are going to find these scumbags and they'll get locked up. Have a day off work." Which is like, "No, I'm not hiding away. Let's get to work. I'm gonna teach these scumbags a lesson."
I'm not going to hide away. I don't imagine for 1 minute two lads might turn up at my place of work and say that they saw me on the internet doing all kinds of stuff.
So Cassie purposely stirs the pot at work later, saying, "Oh, it must be so embarrassing for you, Abby. People looking at your fine china on the internet." And
Terrible.
Then Craig stops by the garage. He's not any further in the investigations. Kev calls him useless. There's like a character, at least one every week. Have the Argos van go past at least 1 week? I think at this stage, somebody has to insult Craig at least once a week to keep up some kind of sponsorship. I don't know. But Craig says, look, we found out that whoever's uploading these is using a VPN and there's nothing the police can do to identify them. Now, we don't have advertising on this podcast, but if we did, you might know more about VPNs because they're certainly...
probably get one from Surfshark.
Yeah, they're quite popular on the old YouTubes and podcasts, aren't they?
But if you paid me, I would learn.
But we have mulled over the idea of getting a VPN in the past, haven't we?
I don't know, have we?
Well, just so that we can watch foreign things.
So we can protect
our privacy online, which is the only reason why anyone would want to do it. No. Just like probably all the people in Canada and America that watch Coronation Street.
Protecting their
just
privacy.
A handy byproduct of having protected privacy online.
Yeah. And you can also apparently upload.
You can upload AI porn videos as well on them. So
and be completely untraceable.
Anyway, yeah, like you said, these two lads turn up at the garage later. They've seen this Abi video online. She's clearly a local celebrity now.
I don't understand this. It's nonsense, isn't it?
What, the fact that
these two lads, right? First of all, she's not anywhere near the entrance. Nobody walks past the front of the garage.
I don't think it was by mistake that they saw her. I think that they've heard who she is and have gone to check her out.
Honestly, there's so much porn online. I don't think anybody is looking for Abi videos.
I don't think they are, and
how is this being? This is the trouble about the only way you can really get somebody with this is if you target their friends and loved ones and relatives with this stuff, right? These guys don't even know who she is, so they don't care.
Yeah, exactly. It
doesn't make sense, really.
They've probably seen the video for 30 seconds before moving on to the next one, you know?
Yeah, it should have been somebody that she knows, because they don't... It's not about Yeah.
Anyway, so they're saying, yeah, are you that bird off the video? Go on, love. Take off your top. Give us a flash. Whoa.
She should have done, and then they would have gone, my goodness, I apologise. It's not the same boobs I saw online.
Well,
show us your tattoo.
Spoiler alert, Abby's not the only one who doesn't get a chance to see the twins this week. Those boys left the garage sadly disappointed as well. She kicks a shelf in frustration with this. So Kev finds Abby at the factory gantry later. That was another really interesting framing of a shot. We see like them from down below, don't we? Up there, and I don't know, has she just got free access to go and climb up the factory? Has she got a...
Who's going to stop her?
Who indeed? Not who's in charge? Yeah, not Carla, clearly.
I've got a fish to fry.
So she's like, these guys came and saw me. He said, we just get started with the police, shall we? The sooner we get started, sooner it'll be sorted. And Abby's like, too late. The whole world has seen this video now. It's gone viral. She doesn't say that, but is the subtext. Won't stop people knowing, won't stop them gossiping. I kind of miss there being a real gossip character.
Yeah.
Like, in the days of Norris would have been quite interesting here, because he'd have had to have gossiped about... No, I'm saying he'd have had to have gossiped about it without admitting to have seen it.
Yeah, it would have been really funny.
Yeah.
They need another gossip that isn't Beth.
Yeah, well, Sean's a bit of a gossip, but nobody is...
Sean's not looking at pictures of Abi.
No, there's no kind of like really malicious gossip or...
It wasn't malicious though. It was idle, you know. It was a bit mean, but it wasn't like dangerous.
I think when some of the older characters used to do it, it was, I don't really care if they get hurt by it. What's most important is I'm the one that's spreading this important information.
That's not malicious, isn't it? That's why you're collateral damage.
There's nobody quite like that anyway, but she's still worried about it.
Evelyn's the closest, probably.
Yeah, I guess so. But then Evelyn's
really
too kind-hearted.
Stand around talking about people.
I think
to do.
Yeah, I think that back in the day, Norris and Ina, and maybe some others, I can't remember, would gossip about their neighbours because they haven't got the same level of conscience as Evelyn. Evelyn is... She wouldn't gossip at the bar like, oh, have you seen Abby's videos? Because she's got a heart.
Had a complete lack of self-awareness. You know, they didn't...
Blanche is another one, isn't she?
Yeah, they didn't consider this might turn on me at some point. I probably shouldn't do this in case it happens to me. Or I might be also a flawed human being. Perhaps I shouldn't throw stones. They had none of that at all. They were just like made to gossip.
Yeah. So she goes. She finds out as the week goes on. She just speaks to all the other people that have had similar storylines in the past, doesn't she? So Nina suggests that she go and speak to Asher about it. Remember that time that Asher also had a porn video put online? Why don't you go and have a talk to her? So she does, and Asher's advice is just, yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
Get your dad to sort it out.
It'll get easier over time. But Abby says that at least you knew who did it, and me not knowing who did it makes it 10 times worse.
There's also more than one, and it's also not just taking your top off. But the difference with Asher is that she did actually do it.
Yes, that's true.
So
I suppose with Asher, because
how are you going to pick what's the worst thing? You were betrayed by someone you trusted in Asher's case, and then someone else who turns out then to be universally lauded as the Doctor's new companion is the one who released the video, and nobody seems to care about that. She gets a cushy job on the BBC.
I suppose in a way it is easier because you knew who to point the police in the direction of, and Abby's just... I don't know whether she's suspecting everybody. She's not like looking at people and saying, it was you, was it? We've not reached that stage yet. Although I wouldn't. I don't know why she isn't though,
because I'd be completely paranoid.
Yeah.
That would drive me mad.
It's got to be somebody that we know, hasn't it?
It would be a bit stupid if it wasn't.
But I don't know who it could possibly be. I mean, or there's no reason that the Institute would do it, who are obviously AI whizzes. Yeah. Although if AI Ollie is anything to go by, not the most convincing of deep fakes. They use their best AI processors to make the porn.
Maybe they
just use the shoddy ones for the babies.
That's probably what they did.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still like Cassie seems like the biggest suspect at the moment, but I just don't believe that she would have the know-it-all to be able to do it.
In my mind, this AI deepfake, you know how Coronation Street is with this kind of tech, then they don't ever give them a budget to do it properly. In my mind, it's like the level of in South Park when they had Saddam Hussein's face on a character. That's what they've done to Abby, and it's like, oh no, look at that. It looks like it's really her.
So Ty and Cassie are talking about these videos later, and she's like, oh, I don't even know if the videos really are fake. It really does look like hair. Why would anyone bother to make a deep fake or just some backstreet grease monkey? Oh look, right in the back of the shot, Abby and Kevin walk in, and but cut a long story short, by the end of the episode, she's sacked. Yeah, awful lot of people walking in on other people, slagging him off. But yeah, Cassie's sacked. Tyrone says it's for the best. Wednesday, I'd forgotten the promise of the siblings arriving, but Abby clearly hasn't. I thought they wouldn't come. Yeah, I think you said that at the time. I don't think it's a shame. I quite like the idea of these kids showing up every few years. I just want to see what the actors are like. And Abby said it was like 3 years, didn't she, since we saw them last? It doesn't feel like that long.
We saw them at Christmas.
We saw them at a Christmas. Was it 3 years ago? Maybe it was, I don't know. Anyway, she's cleaning up the house and what do you know? Their adoptive mum phones up and says, oh, Lexi's got the chicken pox. Poxy Lexi. And she can't come round. And Abby thinks this is just an excuse. She must have got wind of these videos. She's like, oh no, these scumbags are stopping me seeing my kids even.
I think Lexi's mum's a pervert.
So we could get to see them when she's better. Chickenpox doesn't last that long. Do you think it was just an excuse?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Abby comes home later and from work or wherever she's been, I don't remember. Kevin's there with a guy from the video takedown company. So this is the one that Dev used to help Asher out. Yeah. And apparently you can stop videos appearing on online search engine results for £5,000 a month. Luckily, Kevin seems to have that money, so he makes out
the most bonkers
in Wednesday's episode.
Sometimes Coronation Street pushes your incredulity and you wonder why, but you feel like it might be justified, and you know, okay, maybe it's not believable, but it was such a great story that I'm gonna overlook it.
It's very noble when characters say, I'll pay whatever it takes to help you out, but come on.
£5,000 a month, and he barely blinked. I don't understand why they did this. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's completely it doesn't it just made.
Has he got any of... He had some money, didn't he? When Debbie came back in it 5 years or so ago, yeah, he inherited a bit of his auntie's money. But
it's forever.
We can't be seriously expected to believe that he could even
he's got £5,000 a month. Not even the most rich... I'm surprised Dev has got £5,000 a month. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's honestly a ridiculous
number. And Dev's been paying it for 4 or 5 years now?
Why didn't they just say it was £100,000 a month? It was just boggling to me that they put that in. I just found that ridiculous.
Is this a realistic cost, I wonder? Because Corey does do the research for these things.
Yeah, did they go, well, we can't say anything else because...
Yeah, I don't know.
It would be wrong. Stupid. Honestly, stupid.
Mm.
That was a really stupid thing to put in the show. I've already criticised them for straying too far away from the original point of the show, which is to be working class people in the north. And the whole point of that was that was a group of people that had been ignored and under appreciated and looked down on by people. So let's make a show about them for them. They've strayed so far. They've got a bloke here paying $5,000, like whatever. Yeah, I've got $5,000 a month.
I know.
It's a
ridiculous.
joke.
Abi comes up with the idea at the end of the episode to hire a private detective to find this dirty little troll who posted this so they can kick the door down.
The other point of it is, who's really Googling her? That it doesn't take the videos off the internet. It just stops you from Googling Abi Webster and being sent a porn video.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Well, it'd be cheaper to change your name.
Or does it take it off the sites? I thought maybe...
No, it doesn't.
Did he just say the search results?
Yes. See, it makes sense for Asha because she's a young girl who has, Go on.
I thought we'd been led to believe that Asha's videos had been taken off the internet somehow.
He says it's stopping them from appearing on search
you're right.
engine
This guy
results.
here did, but I got the impression that Asha's videos just could not be seen anywhere, even if you thought you knew the right place to look.
But it's probably because it's technically child pornography.
I suppose so, but if that costs £5,000 to stop it, just the search results finding, then what's it going to cost to take them down completely on the website?
I also can't believe that there is enough interest in Asha's video to keep having to pay loads of money. Like, who's still doing it? Who's still uploading it?
Oh, there's not.
It would have to be somebody malicious to keep... Yeah, but you'd have to have the source to
I
upload
see.
it. Who's doing it? Nobody. Nobody cares about it anymore.
Because, like you said earlier, there's a steady stream of fresh-faced young things.
The person who did it was Kelly.
Yeah.
And she's gone. She didn't even mean to do it, really. It's a bit silly. They're trying to do something here, but they've just really screwed it up. I don't understand why. How did they fluff this so badly?
I guess you will get some videos that will just linger forever.
Yes, but the thing is, the difference is that happens more with people that have an online presence, and Abi doesn't. Who's Googling Abi Webster?
Right. Friday, Cassie's with Evelyn in the cafe, bad-mouthing Abi again. Tyrone comes in and gives her a bit of a telling off and says, look, you need to go and apologise to Abi and mean it. You never know, you might get your job back. So today's little adventure with somebody who has also had a very similar storyline in the past is Maria popping over to Abi and saying, hey, I had a deep fake storyline as well. These choreo writers, they're really low on ideas at the moment, aren't they? But at least we've got a kinship about something. I don't remember what actually happens with it. She just kind of hangs around with them for the rest of the episode, doesn't she?
Well, Abi just talks to her about it, and it probably is good to, find someone else so you don't feel so alone.
Yeah. Cassie and Abi end up having a chat about it in the pub, and she's kind of seemingly giving a genuine apology, and also says, look, it's true, I had a bit of a crush on Kev back at the beginning of the year. It's over now, and Abby's like, I can't believe this. You just can't help create drama, can you? I'm gonna start calling you Tony Warren.
That's my job. Later
on, Abby's gone. She says, well, Cassie's like, I don't know, where am I going to live now then? I haven't got my job back. Screwed up. I love the scene where she's who was it that suggests you work at the Rovers? I don't remember, but Daisy happens to be walking past, and she's like, and you're not working at the pub. No, not now I'm back. The
that
smarm
was excellent.
In that delivery of the line, that was fantastic.
So campy.
Yeah, I can totally see Daisy not wanting somebody who looks, sounds, acts anything like Cassie does working behind that same bar. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
The story was plodding along nicely this week. It wasn't anything to get super excited about. Sally Carman is obviously one of my favourite characters on the show, and she was giving fantastic dramatic performances just like Georgia Taylor was. But I think there's just something about the Institute story feels like it's bigger and meatier than this, and I am really at the moment struggling to enjoy Cassie on screen, which is a shame because I really want to go back to liking her. And I don't kind of like watching in a Cassie kind of way. But it's fine. It's fine. I don't know where it's going because there's clearly the videos aren't going to be taken down now.
No, they're not going to stop because we don't know who's doing it or why.
What's the satisfying solution to this?
Yeah,
there is no way that Abi can stop these videos spreading. No. I mean, I guess we'll find out who is spreading them.
Yeah.
But
it's
terrifying.
This is
going to haunt her forever.
Yeah, it's just terrifying that somebody can do this to you. And what can you do? You're helpless. I mean, my suggestion is that we create AI-generated porn of everybody. So that
nobody's special.
And then you don't have to worry about it because they'll be like, "Oh, is that you? AI? Is that your AI porn?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, somebody." You know how everybody gets their own. Yeah.
It's
weird, isn't it? Yes, it is weird, but that's the world we live in.
I wonder whether they'd go down the route of, I don't know, Charlie seeing the video at some point. I can't remember how old the twins are supposed to be at the moment.
Why not Lexi?
Well, Lexi's not. Lexi's definitely, not going to be searching lady porn. I imagine.
Why not?
Well, I suppose she could.
I think you're being quite presumptuous.
Maybe I am, but they're probably of an age where because this is terrible.
So
children are seeing it, and children are seeing it at a younger and younger age. So
don't let your children on the internet without you knowing what they're doing.
It's not out of the question that Charlie could see this.
Don't let your child on the internet unsupervised.
If they do, I'd hope that they bring the character back into the show rather than just hearing that Charlie's seen it and now he doesn't want to see his mum again.
It's gross.
It is a little bit gross, but it's going to go that way if they're putting
I just can't believe that anybody would stumble across this and happen to know the person in real life. I just can't believe it. I just genuinely don't believe that would ever happen. Yeah. There's so much of it on the internet, and the suggestion here is that it's labelled with her name, so you know who she is, but nobody knows who she is apart from the people that know her.
Why do you think the suggestion is it's labelled with his name?
But how did they know? How did these lads know who she was?
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know.
I think it's a bit. I think they're trying to do this story because it's an interesting thing that could possibly happen, but there are so many aspects to it that don't make sense in the scenario they've put it in.
That's why I'm not fully invested in it, but I like it as it. It's the same with the George and Glenda. There's bits that I like in this story, and bits that
bits you don't.
Bits that aren't quite working for me.
Well, that story was only on Wednesday and Friday, yes. So Wednesday picks up with George seeing Glenda in the cafe, and he is asking her how the Little Big Shot deal is going because she has been given £22,000 to buy into this, but what he doesn't know is that she's using it to sue him. So she has to lie and say, "Oh, I'm having trouble getting hold of anybody to try to sort this out." And Michael overhears this, comes over and says that you've got to tell George what's going on, or just don't do it. Just have a rethink. George hears from Eileen that Jason, because she's gone to Thailand to look after Jason, who's fallen off a scooter or something, and she tells George that Jason's medical insurance has run out, and he needs to transfer her £500.
But a bit presumptuous from Eileen there.
Yeah, well,
Todd's not impressed with this because
Todd's just aghast that Jason's getting £500 free. He's mad about it. It's so funny how mad he is, and it's only because it's his brother. He's like, "How come he's getting £500? Nobody give me £500. What are you giving him £500 for?"
Is it also because it's coming out of the business account that he is one day due to inherit, and he doesn't like the idea that it's...
Well, you shouldn't be worried about that because that's just rude. It's the business account it's coming out of.
Yeah.
And George they're talking about it in front of Glenda, and I think Glenda is kind of sad to hear this because she remembers that George is a nice bloke. Yeah,
the episode ended, and I was thinking, oh, so is she backing down from suing him now?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she explicitly says this.
Yeah, and I thought, in a way, I was like, oh, good, because I've not enjoyed this siblings at war story. But also, I was thinking, oh, this is kind of typical Corrie, that they build something up to be like, oh, and now we're going to do this. How on earth are they going to get out of that one? And then They leave it for a bit, and then when they build up to this big cliffhangery climax, and you think, what's going to happen next? And then the next time we see the story in a few months' time, it's like, well, let's just de-escalate it just like that, because actually
nothing happened.
It was only a cliffhanger for a cliffhanger's sake earlier, but it didn't go that route in the end, because the suing was very much going on Friday.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, it is right.
On Friday, Todd tells George, the owner of Watlin's warehouse.
I don't remember what the jingle goes
complete
like.
With the same jingle.
Tired to,
they've died. He's died, and the widow wants to put on a massive funeral, and they're both thrilled. Dee-Dee tells Glenda that she's got a claim, and maybe
against George
on more than just the business, maybe the house as well. But she's got to do something about it.
I think didn't Dee-Dee also offer advice that it's maybe not worth pursuing this just for sake of family harmony? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think she said that previously. The widow is.
I love this scene.
Mm-hmm. Tell me why.
I just thought that I thought it was almost a kind of a classic Corrie. Everyone having a nice time. George kind of screws up he thinks he screwed up by singing the company jingle, and the woman's just kind of very warm and friendly.
She's a fake out.
And they talk about...
Like, I hate it. No, I love it, really.
They talk about Archie and how much, how kind that he was, and Georgia a chip off the old block. And
carrying on his legacy.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay for the whole thing right now. Just let me go get my card. And she goes to her car to get the card, and Dee-Dee comes in, she's like, I'm doing Adam's work. Dee-Dee, you don't need to explain why you do every single lawyer job in the whole thing apart from the one with Toya. We just are used to it now.
Is this a Sam Robertson's gone off sick or something, and they think they have to explain why Shanique stepped in there?
You don't need to know why you're doing it. You're a lawyer. You gave him a piece of paper. He opens it up, and it says Glenda's suing him, and he's just like, I can't believe this is happening. I'm looking after this business where she was out spunning on the high seas. I'm in here working my ass off. All these bloody people, that everyone dies all the time, and they're always sad about it. It's such a bummer. And now she wants to have a bunch of hairy-legged Scotsmen on bagpipes. And the woman's like there going, oh my God, I can't believe you're so insulting. I'm leaving. She storms off. George comes into the Rovers and says to Glenda, it's your fault. I've lost this massive business because you decided to sue me. You're a Judas. You're betraying me. And Glenda says, I'm entitled to that money. You get out before I bar you.
Going back to that scene where he was caught in the act of, his tirade. I was just a little bit disappointed with how kind of cliche that ended. It was a very much she's behind you, wasn't it?
I know, and Todd's there going, George. No,
George.
Don't interrupt me. I'm having a rant.
Yeah.
I can't tell you why, but you shouldn't say it anymore.
And it's the fact that
you should have just said, let me take your card, please. Yeah, and then he would have shut up.
I'd had so much good, positive feeling about that little series of scenes. And I like the idea that, things are going up trumps for Shuttleworths, and then for it to be ended on, just as I say, a bit of a cliche, she's behind you moment.
And especially because we just had one last episode.
With what?
With what happened the end of the last episode. When... No, I just said it, didn't I? Somebody said... Oh, it was Cassie.
Mm. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, I can't believe it.
Yeah, the grease monkey line, you're right.
Right, so... George talks to Glenda about this, and she is not really feeling that she wants to back down. And she points out, and I think she's totally in the right here, George doesn't really have a leg to stand on, because she's saying, look, you took over the business, and you've also bought a house, and I want half the house too, because you used the money that I should have had to put into the business. And yeah, it isn't fair because she didn't work for it. But if she had started out at the same point, he'd have, a more of a point. And he's like, oh, you can't say that. I work really hard at my job, and also I've got 10 years on my mortgage. You're talking to a woman that doesn't have a house. She doesn't even she can't even rent her own place. She stays in a room in someone else's house. She's not going to cry for your 10 years left on your mortgage, my friend.
I agree with all of that, but I still think that suing him is so out of character.
But the thing is about it, here was George's opportunity to up his offer, and he didn't. He should have said, I understand what you mean. Why don't we come to a compromise? Like, no. He just said, I work for what I've got and it was really hard. And I understand what he's saying too, but this is the trouble. Don't we hear this all the time from people that are far more better off than we are and have got way more stuff than we do, and they always say, well, I work really hard, and you can, all you can say is everybody works really hard. And sometimes it's not fair, but in this situation it's clear that she's been shafted by this stupid will. And if Archie really was a nice guy, he wouldn't have written it like that.
No, that yeah, and that's the big question, isn't it? Still, that's lingering. Why, is this a more up to date will? Dee-Dee seems to think that maybe it could be. We haven't seen the will.
I'm really confused. Why hasn't Glenda said anything like, I don't understand why Dad would do this to me? She said that George and Dad got on really well, and
she was
they were friends.
Yeah.
But the thing is about it is that maybe you do have your favourites and you don't hide it when you're a parent, but you still love... Most decent people will love their children equally, even if they like one more than the other, right? There's still that really deep bond and you still want to be fair to both of them. What Archie did in his will was so ridiculously unfair that it doesn't make any sense.
No, and it's kind of a bit of an assassination, a posthumous character assassination of Archie, because he was the warmest, loveliest, friendliest, most caring guy, wasn't he? Archie Shuttleworth, an utter gem, and the fact that he would just say, well, give her a table and chairs, she'll be fine. I just don't buy that his character would do that.
Honestly, he was such a nice guy, and he was also a very traditional person, that I wouldn't have been surprised if he hadn't have said something like, well, George is a grafter, he's talented at this job, and he is obviously going to make a well of his life. I'm going to give Glenda more because she is a bit flaky.
Yeah, there's just an awful lot of characters not acting the way that I think that they should. If there's some big revelation about why this has happened... And it still doesn't I'll forgive them, but at the moment it's kind of nonsensical. Yeah, I really want a nice touching scene where, I don't know, they find another of Archie's letters written to Glenda telling her how much he loved her and something. I don't know, there needs to be a sweet, fuzzy-hearted ending to this. A letter going, dearest Glenda, I know that when you were growing up, you might have felt distant from me, and I'm sorry for that, but I've always loved you and I always wanted to look after you, which is why I have sellotaped 5 diamonds to this letter in lieu of leaving you any money in my will. Don't tell the lawyers because they'll try to take some of it. Maybe he's left her a treasure map, and because she's always on the boat sailing the high seas, he's like, well, I thought you're one for adventure, Glenda. Yeah. And she just lost it because she's flake. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway. There's still potential to save the story if they do that, but it's not going the way I want it to. They need to work harder at this because they've kind of ruined the whole Shuttleworth family. Yeah, they had a great dynamic before and it's just gone. Well, George goes home and tells Todd, "This is all out war." And then Michael's comes to talk to Glenda and he basically says, "I fancy you." It basically boils down to that, doesn't it? Well, she's just talking about her childhood. You're a good one. And saying, "Oh, you're George, a very handsome-looking woman." There was the apple of my dad's eye, and my mum didn't like me either. I was too much for everybody. And Michael says, "You're just enough for me, baby." Yeah. Can you believe it? Yeah, I can believe it. We must have said that this was going to happen because this has been fairly heavily telegraphed over the past couple of months, hasn't it? Well, yes, exactly. So we knew that they were going somewhere with this because they don't normally put stuff like that in for no reason. No. And initially, I've got to say, I didn't feel it. I wasn't going there with them. I was thinking, what's the point of this? But then when they had the kiss, I was thinking, you know what? This does open opportunities for both their characters. I'm not totally adverse to it, but you're right. It feels and it like still does a little bit like, well, who should we pair Glenda up with? Oh, Michael's not doing anything at the moment, you know? My whole thing was like, Michael could not handle Glenda. No way. This man is unprepared for the woman Glenda is. But then when he was so nice and cherished her, I thought, actually, no, she just wants a nice man who is going to worship the ground that she walks on. And I think that is Michael. Yeah, I mean, we've said for ages that we wanted Michael and Ryan to have stories together because they could bounce off each other nicely. And
these
two are both very kind of live wire-ish kind of characters.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a natural fit yet.
It doesn't necessarily work on paper, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to work.
They definitely had charisma in that scene. You know, I felt like it wasn't like, ooh, it's like he's kissing his sister.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I do love Glenda so much, despite her not, being my favourite person in this particular story. And I would like to see her happy. And
I like both these characters. I think Michael's a really nice bloke, and I love Glenda. So
yeah.
Maybe. Let's see what happens.
Let's see, shall we? Finally, we got the cut to the chess story, which is Sam wanting to play chess with Roy, and he just gets to... No, he does. He plays a game, doesn't he? Monday, he's got a teacher training afternoon. Do these things happen when it's not a whole day? I don't know. But whatever reason, it's an excuse to get Sam over at Roy's house for an afternoon, and Nina says, right, let's surprise Roy, let's spring you on him. And so when Roy goes up to the flat later, Sam's setting up his chess piece, completely oblivious to the not even whispered conversations that Roy and Nina are having in the background, with Roy kind of saying, Sam needs to be playing with kids his own age. I don't want to do this. And Dee-Dee, I keep saying Dee-Dee. Nina's like, oh no, he's got his little heart set on it. So Roy agrees, and he plays a game of chess, and Sam's asking him about prison. What's it like? Not a place for children, says Roy. He kind of opens up a little bit about there, but
bring back children's prisons.
He doesn't want to be talking to Sam. He wants this game over and done with, and he kind of loses on purpose quite quickly, I think, so that Sam can leave. And Roy is asked by Nina later, did you enjoy the game? And I was like, no. I've had weeks of people telling me what to do. Now you're ambushing me saying I've got to play chess with this boy. Leave me alone. I want my privacy. I want solitude at the moment. I need a bit of time to, calm down and reflect after this horrific experience I've had in prison. And not only that, but it's behaviour like playing chess with Sam that got me labelled a weirdo in the first place. Finally, at least Roy has learned something.
It was mostly the murder that people were mad about.
Yeah, it's just as true. So that kind of happens there. There's no more Sam later on in the week. It kind of shifts to Stu's upcoming birthday celebrations, and Yasmin thinking it would be a lovely idea if Roy came along to the party, especially as he's, in a bad way at the moment. But the subject of Roscoe gets brought up, who was that other guy in the prison that Stu had sent along to go and be a friend of Roy, but actually he got enlisted by Griff and his evil schemes, and shown as like, no way that Roy wants to speak to you, not after you put him in touch with
Roscoe
this.
On him.
Yeah, exactly. So
they won't
Yasmin,
even let.
What?
She won't even let Yasmin and Stu go and talk to him.
No, but Yasmin says, oh please, we were going to be in the Rovers then tomorrow, and Roy is very much welcome to come along.
And he can have some pineapple juice.
He can have some, there's a pineapple juice with his name on it. Yeah. So do you think Roy's going to go along there?
Probably.
Thank you.
I'm a bit sick of this.
Grumpy Roy.
This is what Roy does all the time, though. There's been loads of stories like this where something traumatic happens and he's just a dick to everybody.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I
get it, but it's also doesn't make me like him.
I'd like to see him just happy that he's out of
It
prison.
just feels a bit. I know I'm not supposed to feel this way about it. It just feels really sulky and petulant. I know I'm supposed to be more whatever about it.
I know what you mean.
It's like you're a grown man. Well. Stop acting like everyone, like you going to your room and you're not talking to anybody.
Right, okay, there we go.
And then when he's going, because he's going, oh, it's because I was weird that everyone said I was a killer. Like, but you're still being weird. You're just a bit white. Just accept the fact that no matter what you do, people are going to find you weird. People think I'm weird. Everybody, the people that think you're weird are the people, and I'm sorry if this offends you, go home to their little grey house with their little grey sofas and their little grey Mrs. Hinch box sets or whatever, and sit in their little room with their little sad lives and don't ever do anything with any colour. Don't worry about what those people think. They're the weird ones. Play chess with children.
Yeah.
Probably don't do that, but...
Well, just do it. Do it out in the open
want.
in the cafe at least, so people can see what you're doing.
Yeah, don't invite children to your house to play chess with you.
So, character of the week and score as we round off this post-Britain's Got Talent Week discussion.
Interesting, because, you know, Leanne was big this week. Toya was I think I'm going to have to vote for Toya.
What was character of the week?
Yeah, because although
she's been pretty strong all week.
Although I'm not like super enamoured of the Rose storyline, it's given Georgia Taylor a chance to shine again, which is good. I love how protective she is being of Leanne, even though Leanne's not having it. And I liked that fiery Battersby spirit that we got to see a little bit of when she was having a go at Rowan.
Yeah, that scene outside the cafe. There's a few scenes in this story where we had to pause afterwards because I realised I'm not taking any notes because I was just mesmerised by what was going on the screen, and that's the mark of a great scene to me. So there was a few of those today. I don't know whether I can give it to Toya for sure. I mean, obviously today's episode was fab, but like I said earlier, she was grating just a little bit earlier on in the week when she was a bit of a, you know, dog with a bone about Rowan. I don't know whether to. I mean, I could easily pick Leanne or even Rowan as characters of the week. He's still utterly charmed me.
I want to see more of Rowan. I want to see what he gets up to.
I don't know whether I want to see more of him or whether his infrequent appearances make me more excited to see him. But honestly, every time Rowan comes on the screen, like, fantastic. What's he going to be up to now?
Here's a question: do you think he keeps up this like spooky, brainwashed hippie vibe around other high ups in the institute? Do they all think it's a big old scam? And when the doors close, they all go, ha 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 ha, idiots.
I think they do.
Or is he also like when this whole thing
is he being manipulated
comes
by
down,
Willow?
Is he gonna cry because he thought Willow was really it? Is he just as much of
he's in on it.
I don't know. It would actually be quite refreshing if it turned out he wasn't also a con artist, but I think he's too slick.
Yeah, he is, and the fact that he's, you know, how we saw him lying to Leanne about going to the police because I assume he did today. He knows what he's doing. He's got his head screwed on.
Who's your character of the week?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's anyone in any of the other stories particularly. I think I'm gonna go. Rowan. Oh no. Can I vote AI Ollie as my character of the week?
No.
Oh, why not?
If you're gonna vote AI Ollie, I'm gonna vote the poor woman whose work was stolen by the deep fake of Abby's head.
Okay.
Because that woman, she did that for real, and she's not getting the credit that she deserves.
Yeah, she put on quite a show by the sounds of it.
I've heard tell, yes.
No, okay. I'm gonna vote for Rowan. Only because there were bits on Wednesday when I was like, oh, come on, Toya, give it a break. Whereas Rowan, I just love him every time he's on the screen. I am going to give this week's Corrie...
I give this... if it was Friday was a 4.
Yeah.
But the rest of the week, I was saying bog standard. It was just okay. It's going to have to be 3.5 dishy sailors to send Sean's way.
I am going to give this 3.5 age inappropriate birthday cards from Daisy's nan out of 5. So not a bad week whatsoever. I feel like if I could go between 3.5 and 4, this week might be it, but we don't do 0.25s of a point, so 3.5 is how it will have to be.
I'm intrigued as to whose mum this is. Daisy's nan.
Well, it could be either.
Is it Christina's mum?
Yeah.
Is it mysterious Mr. Midgley?
Natty? Not Nanny. Yeah, Nanny Midgley, maybe. Or Mammy Midgley, maybe she gets called. I'd probably go with that.
Do you know who I think it might be?
What?
It might be because of Jenny. It might just be Rita.
Yeah.
Stepnan.
Well,
Stepnan.
You'd have thought that she'd be probably a bit of an expert on cards, considering her job. But maybe she's just got a load of old ones that she can't sell in the back, and she's like, this will do for Daisy this year.
With a cake. No, mate. I think if Rita gives you a card, she's like, here you go, love. Can I have it back now? Because that's actually stock. That's how she's so rich.
Yeah, that's how she stays rich.
That dragon.
So good week on the whole.